Welcome to another Sunday Sync. I think Brandon has something to kick us off with.
Sorry, I'm writing it down right now just to make sure. I've shared before, and some of y'all know I do the build to rent model. And so I'm on build number. I was adding them up the other day. I built every house we've ever had. I grew up, my parents built their houses, and then I built all my rentals. So this week, um, looking at, finishing up the pad site build for the about to pour the foundation. The elevation was a little higher at the back of it to go to the back of the lot, and we're going to have to put in a retaining wall. And so we were looking at that, and there happened to be another builder building right beside us at the same time. And what we ended up doing was partnering together on the retaining wall. For one thing, it'll look nicer having the same materials going along, but we were able to. He actually had a guy bid it for him that was cheaper than other bids, but then we also partnered together to get another, is around $300 or $400 off so that he could do one big long project. But on the other hand, I didn't budget for the retaining wall. It's going to be right at $4,500 for the retaining wall. So what I'm doing right now is going through my budget for this build, and I do like it. If I'm going to have something happen, I love it happening early because it gives me time in other parts of the budget to try to make up that savings. I do leave some money for contingency that's part of my budget. So on this project, because I've dialed them in pretty good, I didn't have a huge one, but I had $3,000 in contingency there. I was going through my goal right now with the retaining wall. It's going to be around 229,000 for this build. That's lot, all the closing cost, interest carry, and the closing costs for the 30 year. So it's coming out to 229. My intent was to get it around 215. So I've been adding up little areas where I know I can cut budget. And I thought I'd just share it, just maybe gives ideas for things of people building going forward. The dirt work ended up being $1,500 under budget. We made a change on the windows, the two front front windows. We've got the living room and one bedroom. We had what they're called two sets of 3.0 windows. And I talked to the builder. I said, what if we go to one 4.0 window for each set? Could we get a savings? And that saved us $400 because I was trying to think about, the light coming in instead of just going to one 3.0 window in each room. I thought it'd be just a little too dark. So I did one 4.0 window in each one. That saved 400. I made a change to the flooring to putting in LVP versus that stained concrete, which I know, Jared, you saw that stained concrete on that
Yeah.
other one.
If you guys haven't seen that, that freaking blew me away. It's what is it, stamped concrete or stained concrete that looks like hardwoods, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
score it to look like planks, but and then they stain it. I mean, it looks spot on like wood floors, but it's a little bit more expensive on the front end, but I'm hoping that it's a lot less expensive on the back end for long
Durability, yeah.
for durability. But on this one, I'm having to make a change. That'll save me about 2,500. I made a change to the exterior doors, saves another 800. I'm working on some trim changes. I usually put shiplap that wraps around the fireplace. I might just do it up to the mantle and leave the rest as sheetrock. That'll save about 1,000. I'm changing up my tile work. In tile work, the pattern you use can cost you more expensive. can cost more money. And I do like that herringbone pattern. I'm changing more to a subway pattern. That's going to save about $1,000 to it. So I've got about, going through some of it, I've got about $12,000 I'm adding up in savings. I need three more $1,000 to go, but the key to it is getting the savings without compromising quality. So I shared a little bit in my latest video, but I'll also talk about it through the series of the different changes I'm making. We think concrete's going to come in less. Concrete run, we budgeted $11 a square foot, and we think it's going to be, we won't know till the day they pour because concrete's pricing happens the day of based off pricing from the concrete plants. So we're thinking it's going to be closer to $9.75 to $10. So I might get some savings there. Lumber, I won't know until they drop the lumber because a lot of the lumber companies don't lock in the prices anymore. It's the price at the day they drop the lumber.
Yeah,
So that's
you're playing in a space that I think requires more attention to detail, a lot of networking, a lot of knowledge in a lot of different areas, man. So
It
good for
is.
you, man.
I look at lumber futures every day. Since I'm building two houses, I think I can tap into some more savings because I'm going to lean on some of these vendors and some of these contractors saying, hey, can you cut me? I want them to make a fair profit, and that's how you have long-term relationships is everybody makes a profit. But I am going to say, hey, I've got, I'm a little off on my budget on these two houses. Can you shave off $300-400, depending on what it is, and try to get everybody to participate if they will, doing both houses at the same time? I might be able to get some additional savings. I'm just leveraging the network.
So do you, in that situation, like you have two houses, so there's that spread for they're making a little bit of money, but then also you're probably talking about future, you're a build to rent guy, right? And you can say, hey, look,
Yes.
here's my other properties. This is what I'm doing now. I'll hit you guys up a couple months from now or 6 months from now, that kind of thing. So they get that returning revenue. That might, I know when I talked to Pace here last week or whatever it was, he was talking about how his wholesalers, he'll go back to his wholesalers that he deals with the most, and he'll buy from them even though there's a better deal somewhere else, but he'll buy from them just to keep that business going. And he'll on that particular deal he'll lose like 3 grand or whatever, but he has that repeating. He says he's got about 25 buyers that he works with in general. So
Yeah. I'm doing some of that because I've got more projects. I've got two more lots already banked after these two houses that I'm building. And we're using the same contractor. So they have already they've seen me build a couple before, and they're building these, and then they know I've got a couple more lots. So it's really a partnership. I mean, with these different contractors, because I'm using the same contractors for many of them, I'm saying, hey, we had something happen. Is there any way you can cut a little bit of cost to help me on whichever part of it? And so far, it's been good conversations, but I'm not trying to pressure them to where they lose and I win. I still want it win-win for both. And I was talking to a younger guy the other day about these same things. If you want these relationships long term, you have to make it a win for both of you. It can't be a win-lose. And I know for me, when I was younger, unfortunately, I was win-lose.
yeah,
And I didn't have too many long-term partnerships as I've gotten older and matured in this, realizing we both got to make a fair profit. But if we work together, it just helps.
it
So I'm not trying to,
sounds so simple, but that is huge. Like I was the exact same way, kind of pessimistic, kind of this, kind of that, but it doesn't have to be a win-lose. It can be everybody wins. And I know that sounds so simple, but that was my mindset. Well, if I give here, that's gonna hurt me, da da da. And it was very much a zero-sum game. And 0-1 game, I guess. And
yeah.
it's
So
a good point.
that's what I was given. Somebody called me from this group, from the school group, and I was just kind of counseling them through I think he was close to 30, maybe he was 29, and I was kind of walking him through the long term and what that looks like.
I found if you keep that mindset with everything, not just like builders, but like my cleaning service, my handyman, everybody, it can be a win-win over time. So now, like and even this, I know a lot of people will hoard talent, like um, contractors, for example, right? You probably, if you've got a good one, you're not going to advertise to the world because then they get busy. And then guess what? Like if there's a new contractor, usually they're 2 or 3 years into the game and they're really good. And unfortunately, they don't know how to price just yet. They're undercutting everybody and they're pretty good. They have a good work ethic. I tell people about it. Like my cleaning lady, I started telling people about her. The next thing you know, she does my realtors, some of my other hosts, boom. So her business blew up. She had to hire somebody, but it's a win-win for everybody. Now, eventually she's probably going to get big enough where she doesn't have time for me. But she's growing, I'm growing. I think it's a cool way to go. It feels good too.
That's what I did for it was somebody from DFW in our school group. They had reached out to me and I was given him some counsel and I gave connected him with my mortgage guy that I've been using for 10 years. And it was reassuring him this guy is not your typical mortgage guy. He's more of a consultant. And then he called me. I think he actually posted and he thanked me on that referral, that mortgage guy. And my mortgage guy got him connected with an agent because he wanted to buy a certain type of product, and he ended up using that agent and bought something down in Houston. So it's all connections, you know. I got him connected to the mortgage guy. My mortgage guy got him connected to the right agent down in Houston and put together a deal.
Nice. Well, I think we have some new people on here. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I see Shane and of course Ryan. He's on here, but you guys probably know him.
How you
And I
doing?
think, yeah, I think Shane. Shane, are you new here or have you been here before?
Uh, I've been here once a couple
Oh,
weeks ago.
oh, okay.
You
Sorry.
invited me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're playing right now, right? I just joined school earlier, but
Oh, okay. That's right.
you had me a few weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. No, man, with everything going on, who knows? I know John shared his story. Lindsay, have you been here before?
I haven't been on the Sunday, um, but I've been to the Monday, I believe, at 6 a.m.
Oh, with Max?
Yes.
Wow, that's early.
It is early, but I'm on Pacific time, so I guess,
Yeah.
get up and log in the computer.
Anybody else here that's new? So we just on here we talk about anything and everything real estate related, and we just let the conversation flow. I know Zuber calls this the accountability group, but it's really not an accountability group. I was trying to call it the Sunday sync, where we just sync up and talk about real estate stuff and what's going on.
I was wondering if any of you guys have any experience in land contracts.
Land contracts?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I have some, Lindsay.
Okay, great. I'm gonna break down my deal. So my realtor brought me a seller finance deal. Initially, I thought I was going to do a mortgage note, instead of a land contract, but they came back. I guess the seller has an existing mortgage, and so they wanted to do a land contract with me. The numbers still work out for me in a way that I did I'll put an offer and they counter. But I'm just trying to see like down the line, the terms are 30-year amortization, 15-year balloon. I'm trying to get a 6.0 interest with 10% down only. So I'm just thinking long term in terms of like getting out of refinance out of the land contract. I was wondering how does that refinance go?
As long as you don't have in the contract a prepayment penalty
Hmm.
and that's in there, you shouldn't have an issue. You want to make sure that that's spelled out if you refinance and make that real clear before the 15 years.
Yeah, that is in the contract, no prepayment penalty.
Okay.
But I'm just, I guess, as a person that's not fully on title, I was wondering if I'm gonna have problem with the banks trying to refinance out of that.
So you're not going to be on the title?
No, I am gonna be on the title, but I'm saying like it's a different equity title, right? Correct? I mean, they're gonna add me on title as a person of interest. As far as I understand, that's what land contracts mean. I'm not gonna be fully solely on title.
Are you buying this or is this like a lease option or what's the situation?
It's a seller finance option with a land contract.
But they have still have a mortgage on it, is what you're saying.
Yes.
So that they're
Mm-hmm.
still going to be on the title.
Right. So all three people are going to be on the title. So that's why my question is like when I comes out to refinance, let's say I want to refinance early, when I go to a bank, then I'm going to see three people on the title. Is it going to be a harder time for me to get out of this land contract and take ownership of full title?
You're gonna when you get that contract drawn up, it's all with I would get an attorney. Just make sure it's spelled out in the contract that they can't prevent you from paying them off and clearing them from title. Because in a way, the bank is on it because they have a loan on it, and in a sense, they are like another lender on the title with you, but you need to in the contract put it make sure it's clearly spelled that you can refinance and they have to release you from
Hmm.
they have to release it.
Hmm.
So
Okay, that's what I was looking for too, because it's my first land contract, so I definitely want to put as many protections as I can when I come to the closing table. So that's why I was.
hey Brandon, do you know what a land, can you define a land contract?
I'm thinking it's just like an owner finance. I don't know necessarily anything different in a land contract. It would be similar to an owner finance of a house where the owner's taken the second lien position behind the mortgage. I think is it Lindsay, is that am I describing it right?
A little bit different in a seller or owner finance contract, the title goes totally to the buyer. So the owner no longer holds any property on any ownership over the title. They just become like a lender. They make a mortgage note. So they become the bank. So they have a mortgage note on the property, but the buyer ends up with the full title. So it's easier for the buyer to go to a bank and like, oh, hey, let me get a mortgage on this and pay my original mortgage because they're the full owner of the title. There's nobody else.
I follow you. Yeah, this is a little different, and I don't have that expertise. I guess I was thinking of it totally different. I'm
Right.
not certain if they're still remaining as having title to the property. I'm not too certain. I just don't know.
Yeah, I go on the title, but it's called an equitable title. When I take ownership, I can do whatever I want with the property, but at the end of the day, all of us are in the title.
Wouldn't this almost be more of a subject to or a wraparound type mortgage?
I'm not, it seems like along the lines of what it would be, but in a subject to, you take over the prior mortgage, right? But this person is trying to get out of, I guess, like make a profit between the twos. So get a down payment and then kind of like a wraparound mortgage, if that makes sense.
To me, this sounds really weird. I would definitely get a lawyer involved, somebody who knows what they're doing. Because if they're still on title, it doesn't sound like a wrap because they're not selling it outright to you. And it's not a full subject to because you're not getting the deed solely. They're still on it. So it sounds like they have a mortgage, but they have equity and you're buying some of the equity, but they're still in the mortgage and you guys are kind of playing in the same sandbox.
Mhm.
Sounds kind of sounds different. I don't know.
It does sound different. That's a big difference between seller finance, owner finance, and a land contract.
So are you actually going to take over and start paying their payment?
No, I'm gonna pay the seller, and their seller has an existing mortgage. They're gonna pay the payment.
we presume that they're going to pay their existing mortgage.
There is a scripture on the contract that says they have to show proof that they're making payments on the.
Feels like you can get hurt on this deal. At least that's my gut. I don't know. That's why I would go right to a lawyer. It feels a little sketchy to me, but I don't know. I'm new. I've only been at this 2 years, so
Yeah, I'm new too. That's why I'm like, oh, I'm
I would
over the
definitely get
last
that.
3 days just
Get you a
researching.
real estate attorney. You
Okay.
need just this consultation could possibly, I mean, it might be with that real estate attorney, they can put it together where you're safe, but you want to know that, or he might counsel you that this isn't wise. I definitely would recommend a real estate attorney on this.
Okay.
Is this the only way that the numbers would work versus just buying it on its own?
Well, this is the least amount of money I would be able to put down. It's actually a deal of 4 houses. So it's 4 houses. They're selling it for 328,000 with 10% down, which that's only $32,800. So the least amount of money down for 4 houses.
I think I'll echo the real estate attorney because it's getting way more complicated. I sold a house a long time ago on a land contract that was sort of a wraparound. And one of the things that we didn't include that maybe we should have in the process was that extra principal payments, if they were made, were actually to be made directly to the primary mortgage holder to start with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's and them showing you proof is kind of behind after the fact, as opposed to I would almost want you to have to show them proof, but then you pay it because you're
Yeah,
all
it gives
risk.
you more control over the whole situation.
Yeah, you're the one who has the risk in case they do something different versus if you control it and you make the payment and you show them you made it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Makes
thinking of
sense.
the illustration. Let's just take it to another level of an owner that owns an investment property and the renter's making the payment. We've seen this. Renter makes the payment, but the owner of the rental is not making a payment on the mortgage, and they foreclose, and that renter's out. It has some pieces of that of potential if this isn't written right.
Right. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys.
yeah, and it's possible still that are they the actual ones on title? Are they actually selling? Are they wholesaling it and the middleman in this deal? I mean,
No, they're all on title.
oh,
I
okay.
went and looked up the county records. They just have a mortgage on the property, and I'm not sure how much the mortgage it is.
Hmm.
They might owe like 20,000 on the let's say one house, and I'm paying, per house 80,000.
Are
So they're making money just of like kind of like a wraparound mortgage, but it still works out for me.
are do the houses exist? There's 4 houses there, or are they
Yeah.
building it? Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Because
They're rent. 3 of them are rented. One of them is being marketed for rent.
I've seen this in Arizona where somebody bought into a deal and they were going to build, but there was nothing in the contract that actually said they were required to build. It was just implied, and so somebody bought into it, and then everything went south, right? So
Yeah, there's a very interesting. My property manager is actually also the seller's property manager. So I have a good relationship with my property manager. They are, good tenants. They're under market rent, so there's even possibility for more cash flow. So that's where I'm like, such a good deal, but it's just the first time I'm doing a land contract.
Lindsay, why do you think they're selling?
They're selling, the seller, he's out of state just like me, but he's investing more on a more passive way. So they just want to collect their paycheck, not have to worry about any tenants or any turnover or, have the property vacant and any problem and move their money into Detroit, which is where they live. At least that's what he said.
I think I'd want to get better than 6% interest.
I've been trying, But even at 6%, I still get like 12% cash on cash return when the rents are below market rent, and when the rents become even a little bit more, not even market rent, that's immediate 20%. So that's where I profit.
Well, cool. Good luck with that. Get an attorney.
Yeah,
Look
I
at
will. I will.
look
Keep
at
us
what
posted.
Ryan just put in the chat. I think you need to do that on this. It would be wise for you to get that prop stream 7-day free. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I was on that what I thought was a live, and it was a premiere, and I'm asking questions, and then Ryan tells me, all nighter hider, Ryan Hyder on here. He tells me, dude, this came out a week ago. You're not gonna get a response. I'm like, oh, I'm learning this stuff as we go. Oh man. All right. We probably have another question or two or a topic out there. Who wants to go next? All right, Val, you unmuted.
Oh man, did I? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, no, I was hoping you had a question, man.
No,
We're sitting
man,
here
look,
fishing.
no, I'm out here working. I'm out here working, and just got done finishing up my rental property. So a little bit of bittersweet, but hey, on to the next one, right?
There you go.
Yep. So I'm just hanging out, man. Just listening in, like a podcast and some good music while I'm working. So y'all keep going. Appreciate everything.
Has anybody here done a DSCR loan?
I've done two.
Jared, do they lock in the rate like a typical mortgage, whenever you're getting started in the process, or is it at the end?
Yeah, you lock in the rate fairly early on. So you did you get caught with the rates went up when you started?
He told me I wasn't able to lock it in, and I just watched it go up, and I bailed out.
Yeah, you have to at that point.
I just curious because I thought that was different. Because then, how can you go through the process? And I'm going to ask some more questions next time because I spent it on the appraisal. I know it's not that much.
Well, my first one was a 30-day close. So that one, I think we got into it. They did the evaluation on the property as a long-term rental and it didn't cash flow. So I had to bring in more. So it was like a good 2 weeks before I got my rate on that one. And then the second one, we locked in like 3 days in because I closed in 10 days. It was a deal where a guy was really in trouble. I got 120 grand off, so I was more than happy to do it. Now the broker I used, she was not too happy with me, but but we got it done. Lauren Fisco's her name. She's a beast, but you know who Jamil Damji is?
I
Oh,
don't.
he's a big wholesale flipper guy. Anyway, it's his sister's broker that she uses, and she's Rashi, I think is her name. She's anyway, so I figured she'd be pretty good, and she was. First time I used her. So that's crazy, right? I wasn't on file and I hit her up. We did an overnight appraisal like the next day.
Wow.
And I was lucky because I was in town, and this was a weird deal because it was an 8 bedroom, 3 bath house that was already up and running as a co-living. So I had to go in, take all the numbers off the doors, move furniture around. The rooms that didn't have closet, I staged to look like offices and dens. And so that when they appraised it as a regular house. And then I actually it was a crazy 10 days. But anyway, but yeah, I think it was at some point they locked in fairly early on in the process in general. And this is back when it was 8.25. So I had to pay points to get to 7.5.
Right.
So
This one was at the 5 with 3 points, and I was willing to do it because I thought it'll be a one and done. And then over time, it's gotten up to I got quoted earlier this week at 5.5 with 3 points. And I was looking at the prepayment penalties. It was a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I said, I'm not interested in that because I have a feeling I'm going to want to refi out. So I bailed on it.
Yeah, I paid points and I paid to get both of the DSCRs. I paid to have a 1 year prepayment penalty, and after that I don't get penalized because I figured this was going to happen. Because I think by default they wanted a 5 year, and I'm like, no, I need to be able to refi. I don't remember what I paid, but I want to say 3 or 4 grand on both of them. I don't
Yeah, I
remember
was
exactly.
looking at it. If even if he did come back and offer me something different when I said no, I was out. And he said, "What if we did a 1 year?" I said, "Well, here's the issue. I'm paying 3 points, plus you're charging me 1.5% origination, plus you made me get a more expensive insurance product." I said, "If I refied in a year, I just blew a bunch of money."
Yeah,
I said, I want to be one and done, or at least be done where I keep it for 5 or 6 years because it's so low, and then I choose to do something different. There was too much cost involved in the upfront. And I just told him to wait. I said, "Hey, if it comes back down here in the next few months, I'll keep track and watch the 10 year too. When I see it come back down," I said, "I'm willing to do 5.1 with 3 points, but nothing before that." Because I looked at all the costs. It was going to run with the 3 points, 1.5 origination, and then all the other closing costs plus title policy. I was looking, gosh, it was going to be a 22 grand for all the closing on that.
yeah,
And I was backing into it with everything on at that moment. Then at 5.5, I was only saving $300 a month. And I just said, it's at the edge of just not worth it yet anyway.
yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've got a 7.65, a 7.5, and a 6.25. So I'm kind of waiting to get to the five handle, low fives before I do anything to make it worth. I mean, we're cash flowing now pretty good. I've done the math, and if I get down to a 5.5, that's an extra $1,500 a month to me if I don't
Wow.
take any money out, right? So if I cash out refi, then I'll be, we'll see where we're at there, depending on the rates. But well, cool. Anybody else new here? I want to see if we can get anybody new that joined for the first time, see if they have any questions or just introduce yourself. Nobody unmuted. All right. All right, let's move on to the next topic, I guess.
I had a quick question. As far as the rate lock goes on conventional financing, how early in the process or how early do you have to lock in, or how late can you wait to lock in? On the deal I just did, I kind of felt a certain amount of pressure to lock in early-ish in my mind. And I think if I had waited, it would have benefited me ultimately, but not a lot because of the way my whole deal was structured. So it wasn't really much, but given a choice, I think I would have, said, no, I want to wait. Don't lock me in. Is there norms for that?
I would say that is unusual if you felt pressure at the early end of locking it in, because you can lock it in at any time in the process. And from what I understand, my wife used to be in mortgage. I would have to ask her to confirm this. It doesn't cost the mortgage lender anything if you wait till closer to the end. I don't understand that urgency.
We, we were locking in on a buy down of a rate. And I mean, it wasn't like literally pressure, but at the same rate, it felt like it was an urgent approach to it as opposed to it could kind of wait type thing. And I don't know if maybe that was more um, encouraging me to settle on a rate and settle with that broker as opposed to the fact that I was actually talking to a couple others as well or something.
Yeah, it could be they were trying to get you to lock into working with them. That maybe was their motivation, or they thought rates were going to go up. Just depends on when y'all were talking. It sounds more most likely they were just trying to get you to lock in so that you continue to work with them.
I had a broker once on my primary purchase a long time ago before I got into investing. and they took it upon themselves because we were talking. It was kind of a family friend thing too through my wife, so that might have had something to do with it. And he went ahead and locked it in, and I was still shopping, and I found a way better deal. And I was like, "Hey man, sorry, I found this deal." Then he got pissed at me. He's like, "Why already locked it in, and it ruins my reputation?" And I'm like, "Well, then you shouldn't have locked it in. I didn't ask you to. That's on you, buddy." And then it was a big source of contention too. So that was no good. But I got a hell of I got a 2.25, man, as opposed to I think the three and a quarter that he was pushing, which is good, but 2.25 is better. So for primaries, I use a guy named Muhammad. He's what is he? One True Loan? No, not One True Loan. That's the guys on Zuber's channel. I'll look it up as you guys are talking and uh, check my emails and put it in the comments. But this guy's really good for primaries. Sucks at everything else. Like HELOCs, he's horrible. Have you seen that on the HELOCs? If you go to try to get a HELOC, I'd say 99% of them make you pull a draw. They'd make you pull a draw. And I found out why that is. I read the fine print. It's because they get paid on the first draw. Right. So if you did like I did 100, well, it was a 200K. And then over time, when things started getting crazy, they say, hey, we've got to drop this down to 105. I'm like, that's fine by me. But all of them I was working with said I had to pull out either a percentage or the whole amount. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, well, you can just put it back the next day. And I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? So I actually read through the print, and it was because they get paid on that first draw. And the cheapest one I found before I found PNC was like 25 grand, 25%. In my case, it was like 25 grand, 100 grand. I'm like, that's weird. PNC, that's why I went with them. It's $50 a year to maintain it. I think the initial cost was 280 something bucks or something like that. And I got a 30-year AM with a 10-year draw at the rate, and they cited the site where they get the rate from. And I thought, this is pretty good, and it's been working out for me pretty. Anyway, totally sidetracked there. Let me go pull up the mortgage thing. I'll be right back. You guys go ahead and bring up the next topic. Quiet today. Nothing.
I finished moving everything out of the old apartment and turned in the keys.
There you go.
The storage unit.
Hi guys, sorry, I'm cleaning today. Like my in-laws are coming, so massive cleaning. Anyways, hi. Uh, Whoever recommended getting the professional pictures done last week, I think it was last week, I did that. They came out great. And then I'm still trying to figure out that tenant. The apartment complex finally did get back to me though. And so he is working there, or he is living there. He's paying his rent on time. No issues there. So now I'm just waiting for him to send me a personal reference and make sure he didn't find something else. But so otherwise I have somebody coming in from out of town next week to come take a look. But again, I'm in the boonies, so it's a little bit challenging. So
for those that don't know, Karen's trying to fill it before winter comes, because then her rental property, because then it's tough to rent.
yeah, it'll just sit there all winter. Maybe I'll throw a bed in there and go over there every now and then, kind of thing. All right. Thanks.
This might be a short Sunday. For me, I'm trying to, I've had 2 back-to-back months of decline because I had to go ask a guy to leave. For those that don't know, I'm doing rent by room. So I don't have any vacancy, but I have a decline in profit. And so we've built back up now. I think we're up to 6. So in my houses, they're all 8-bedroom. They're nice. So I'm not slumlord or anything. Granite countertop stainless steel. But we typically run about 7. Sometimes we get to 8 full, but usually around 7. I do all my numbers at 6, so I'm not underwater or anything. But now we went down to 3 in one house. So that was crazy. I've never been down that low. So for me, my mortgages are, if I have 4 of the bedrooms rented, I can pay the mortgage. And then about half to 3/4 of the 5th bedroom pays the utilities, depending on the time of year. In the summertime, pretty much that 5th bedroom gets eaten up by, 3/4 of it by utilities. But then like coming in, moving forward, we'll get to, if you dollar cost average out of a year, basically half of the 5th bedroom pays the utilities and everything else is profit. Well, when you get down to 3, that means you're paying the mortgage out of pocket. So that sucked. But I mean, we had 3 for I think 2 weeks, and then we got a fourth one. But still, it was a hit. But luckily, the other 2 houses are more than paying for the portfolio. The mortgages are paid for, but profit definitely came down. I think I hit like 4,100 or maybe $4,000 or something like that, which is essentially, I mean, $4,000 is usually just the 2 properties. So basically, the third property was not good. But so this we filled up. We're back to 6, 7, and 7 out of the 8. So we're 20 units filled out of the 24. So this month I think we'll hit 16.5. Last month we came at 16.2. That's gross, obviously. So we'll see how it goes.
What do you keep on your vacancy allocation? Have you kind of figured out a metric as you're building your reserves? What would be for your concept? What would be your vacancy?
I figure all my numbers since the very beginning is 6 of the 8 rooms rented. So I'm at 75% occupancy, which is crazy, I know. But the reason I do that is Pace runs his numbers at 80% or 85 or something stupid like that, because he's got marketing power and people, and good for him. I don't have all that. So I run at 75. I usually beat it, but this last month I didn't. So 6 of the 8 rooms filled. That's how I run it.
How many more properties like these do you plan to get, or do you have a number yet?
I was planning to get 7 more, but the property manager that I had, I was already looking to buy another one, and boom, 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 boom. But the property manager I had, which is Pad Split, by the way, they pissed off Pace something fierce. He doesn't use their name anymore. He was promoting him. That's kind of how I found him a little bit. And so he had a verbal thing and they screwed him. So he's like, I'm not mentioning, he says co-living moving forward. But yeah, so the Pad Split, they weren't profitable until I think Q1 of this year. And the reason they started getting profitable is they backed off on their marketing, because they're a $200 million company. But they've got capital coming in, like Mark Cuban was involved and all this stuff. So they're growing, but they needed a way to be profitable because they've been at it for 4 or 5 years. And so what they decided to do was, instead of it works out to be 15%, 14.75, 12% on the gross income, and then 2.75 per member. The way they do, basically 15%, you can figure the property management fees. But what they'll do is they'll get your property up to 80% occupancy, and then they stop, and then they'll go work on the other properties. So for me, that's where all the profit lives. And so that's fine. I did my own marketing, and I was able to fill and get up to 100% a few times and all that. That's totally fine. I'm cool with that, even though they should have been upfront about that, but whatever. But what they did was, in May 1st of this year, they changed their fee structure to 8%. And everybody was like, oh, that's wonderful. And I looked at all the data and I'm like, that's bullshit, because and everybody was cussing me out, saying, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. 8% is better than 15. I'm like, oh, okay, guys, but look at what they're saying. They're saying that they're going to take the first 10 days of every new member. Right. And so I was, at that time, May, I was only into it, January, February, March, April, May. So 5 months in, but I was at least smart enough to know that when you bring a house online, that you have a lot of turnover in the beginning, right? You're going to have a lot of new people come in, and you're going to pay that 10-day hit every single time. Well, if you do the math per room, that 10-day hit, it's going to take you 8 months to recover that. So you're never going to recover that cost. And so for me, I'll continue with them and I'll renew my existing properties because they're up and running. And those rooms that are at 15% will come down to 8. And so if I lose somebody, it'll go to 8, and I'll lose that 10-day on that one room. And that's okay. That sucks, but that's the way it is. If I'm going out and spending the money, acquisition costs, all the work that brings these things online, all this crap for a new home, and then you get your bedrooms built out, every new member that comes in, I'd say half or 60% of them are going to leave within a month or two, right? And so you're going to just eat that over and over. And for me, that first year, unless you're willing to take that hit, which I'm not, is, in my opinion, stupid. So I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot, not only because of that, but also there was I'm self-funded, I'm doing everything myself, but there's a lot of people out there that were bringing on capital partners, private money partners and private money lenders doing these things, right? And they were growing. And then all that came to a screeching ass halt, because now an operator like me, and I was going to do that too, actually, when I got closer to running out of money. And now I can't, because I can, but I'm not going to sit there and tell a potential investor, oh, hey, here's your expected returns, when you have no freaking clue what that's going to be, because that 10-day hit can happen on every new room for a while until you stabilize. I'd say at least half of the people are coming in from out of state. They'll stay a month or two before they find, they look at, depending on how driven they are to find a permanent place to live. So you got that contingency, let's say 30%, something like that. Then you have the construction workers that come from Texas, by the way, Brandon. They'll have, Arizona has a lot of construction. So they'll come in 4 or 5 months and then they're out. So you're losing 3 months of revenue there because they're going to be gone. And with the construction workers, a lot of them aren't very clean and they, dirty, it's like, dude, it's kind of a pain. Anyway, point is, it takes a while to stabilize. Over time, you'll get those people that stay. You'll attrition off some people, but someone will stay and someone else will stay and stay and stay and stay. And then you get to that 8-month time frame over the course of, let's say, a year, 10 months to a year. Well, that's way too expensive of a hit in your first year. You're going to be break even if you're lucky or negative. So for me, it's not worth it. So we're looking at co-living, but doing it ourselves without pad split. I'm also looking at sober living. I'm looking at everything, man, because I've got capital sitting in the bank doing absolutely nothing. I was rolling it over in T-bills, but my lender told me, hey, look, pull that out and leave it in your bank account and season it, if you will, for a couple of months, which I've done. But now I'm in a situation where my strategy went out the window. So I'm kind of in a limbo mode. That's
Yeah,
why
I don't understand that. I mean, they've gotten themselves in a cul-de-sac where they will not grow, and the current owners that are still with them have no incentive. It doesn't incentivize them to grow their portfolio. They're caught.
Yeah.
I don't get that at all. That is a poor model.
They damaged their brand big time because they initially came out and said, oh, no, we're doing this to incentivize the hosts to run a better shop. Well, the whole premise of this is essentially transitory, piece of this is people are going to come and go. And that's why it's furnished, right? And so
they're shifting the profit not to the owner who has the most risk. They're shifting the profit to them first.
Yeah.
And you last.
Yeah. And so it kind of pissed a lot of people off, including me. Like, I'll stick the original because it's already up and running. So like I said, if I lose a one room, not the end of the world. But when you're starting off, man, that's a hit. So I met with Atticus here about a month ago. I was in Arizona. I did a Zoom with him, and it was just weird. It was this guy, he's running the company and everything, and he's great. But then he explained to me, counter to what his marketing team was saying. He told me the reason they made this change is because of the cost of marketing. Cost of marketing was so high. They're saying it's like $750 a room, and they said they're losing money on the marketing. They had to have a way to do it. And I totally understand that, and that's fine. But don't come out and tell everybody one thing and then turn around and the people will tell you it's an 8-month recovery if you ask them, because I did the math. I don't know if they'll tell normal people, but I said, hey, look, this is what I see. And they say, yeah. So, I mean, it really damaged their brand. It sounds like they're not operating above board in some cases. I mean, it's borderline, let's say gray, in my opinion. So anyway, I don't like talking about it because I don't want to hog the thing, but everybody was quiet. So I figured I'd just spew it in there, and I killed off my coffee. So caffeine's kicking in.
I do have a related question, but so you mentioned the fact that it's furnished and it tends to be transitory. For what's going to be the efficiency unit when I'm done with the remodel, some people have suggested maybe I should furnish it, and some people have suggested I don't need to.
I would say don't furnish it and see how it goes.
Don't furnish it, see how it goes, and maybe find somebody that's got enough furniture that they're there and they're happy.
Well, you're running it out for an annual lease, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't furnish. I've never ran a non-furnished place, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But it seems to me that, well, one, people will stay longer if it's their stuff. That's the research shows that. Whereas what I'm doing is, if I'm furnishing it, it's easy for somebody to leave. Like, see ya. I don't have to move anything. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I just worry that in 320 square feet, if I furnish it, then I can choose furnishings that are space maximizing and appropriate. Yeah. Versus, if you're trying to move in there with a king size bed,
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know how you would do this, but I'm thinking like Dion does. You know how he sat down and built his binder strategy because his first time that got built out of that first relationship where he didn't know and the renter didn't know, so they did it together. But in your case, you're trying to market it and rent it. So that's kind of tough. You got to figure out what you're doing to try to market it. Maybe do both. I don't know if that's even possible. Like, hey, we can furnish or not furnished, but here's 320. I don't know. What does everybody else think?
I could put two numbers on it.
Yeah, there you go. Just like we do offers. We make a cash offer and then we make a seller finance offer or whatever.
975 unfurnished or 1150 furnished, maybe. I don't know.
The friend of mine he's got 12 properties now. He had nine, but he has one that's a pad split, and then he has ones that's a co-living, and he just a regular rent by room. He does the annual 6 and 3 month, and most of them are 3 months because they wanted to feel it out. And it's only been about 2 months. He likes it. He says he hasn't had a single call yet. It's a different mindset. So I didn't even think of that as far as because I've got 3 or 4 tickets right now, shower head in one, and just different things. I think if you're staying in a place like your ADU where you're going to live there for a year, you kind of maybe have a little bit more ownership. I think like small things. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
Mm.
All right,
I think, John, I think that might be a good idea to try both. I think you'll start seeing it won't hurt you to try both. I think you'll get more data and feedback. I think there might be a good idea to maybe advertise it as both and see what the conversations, how it happens. It's good feedback. You're gonna see what resonates versus just doing one of them.
Yeah.
Don't know if the other one's better.
Sam,
It's
go ahead.
I'm thinking like we used to be in advertising, and well, this is old school. This is Yellow Pages. We used to do split run tests on certain phone books, and we put in an ad in two different uh, where they split the run on the printing of it to see which one worked better. It's the same principle as you're doing a split test and you're
Mm.
seeing which one gains the traction. I think if you could do that, I would, at least initially.
Yeah, Sam Wiegert does that. I went through Sam Wiegert's training or whatever, the week-long training he does. He's a co-living operator. He's been doing it for like 15 years. He's got 200 units, so he knows a thing or two. And he said what he does is he puts out fake ads, which I thought was interesting, to see what kind of like on Marketplace or Facebook,
Sure.
what kind of interest he has. So I thought that was an interesting way to go.
It's fishing
Yeah.
in a more classic sense. Well, the rent box that I have tailored for that size 0 to 1 bedroom. There's only 6 listings in that aren't apartments because I think that was kind of important because you throw in an apartments, it goes all over the place. But out of the 6, 3 are furnished, 3 are unfurnished. So
It's crazy. It's been so long since I've worked with this guy. I'm looking for my mortgage guide on my email and I can't find it. I know his name was Muhammad and I know it was like one true loan. It was not one true loan, but something like that. And I can't seem to find the damn.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing?
Hey Ryan, how's it going, man?
hey,
Going well. My audio coming in all right?
Yeah, it's coming in good. Where you at? What
All right.
state are you in?
I'm in California.
Uh,
Yeah, San Diego, so SoCal.
well,
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to this prop stream, man. I need to make a list of properties and owners before I go and sign up for the 7-day trial and start that clock. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm going to say in about another week, I'm going to get a bigger list. I have the five owners right now, but I need to get a bigger list going, something in the, I'm going to say like 50, 60 owner range and just go for it. I need to use that prop stream if I'm going to get the free trial.
That's pretty cool. I've seen the video, but what was the cost on it? I forgot.
There's 2 different costs because there's add-ons. So I guess there's several different costs, but the base cost from Zuber's link is $97 a month with a bunch of aggregated information. And your question was really good, was how often is it updated?
Yeah,
And
I've talked to people that So like Jimmy Fuentes is like you. I'm not a high speed, get multiple things and go after it kind of guy. I've got a W-2, so not doing that. But Jimmy Fuentes is, and he told me, and I've talked to the guy for a couple years now, and he's an operator. He lives in Jersey, but he's got like 9. He had Airbnbs in Florida, and I haven't talked to him. I don't know how he's doing, but he converted them all to co-living. He, it was crazy, dude. We're in this meeting just like this, and it was a co-living only meeting, right? Effie, do you know Effie? F. Well, anyway, we're Effie Colbean. She's kind of a big person in the sub-2 world, and we're in one of these meetings, and we were talking about he was his first time on there, and we're talking about co-living and how we furnish it and everything, and people come in and we have cleanings every so often. It's crazy people's frame of mind. Like people look at me and go, "Wait a minute, you're doing co-living out of state, and that's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah." Well, Jimmy was doing Airbnbs out of state from Jersey, out of Florida, and his big thing was, wait a minute, I don't have to pay cleaning fees every week. I'm in. And so he did a pilot. He took one of his houses and he added, I think, a room or two. And he did a pilot and he loved it so much he converted all 9. He did them all, man, and he loves it because he doesn't have to pay. For him, it was money too, but it was also it was about the same, he said, but less cleaning fees. So overall, he netted more. So he was all about it, and they were already
That's
furnished.
cool.
You know what I mean? So he was good to go.
That's cool. Yeah, investing is so incredibly personal to people's abilities and their needs. That's cool that he was able to niche down a little bit more.
Yeah, but what he was saying was, well, I found to be true, at least in Maricopa County, is like if you look at PropStream, Privy does a good job, I guess, according to him, in the big cities. So like Phoenix would be a good one for Privy, but Pace uses PropStream. I heard him say it, so who knows? But Jimmy was telling me that PropStream has a lag. It can be anywhere from a month to 3 months behind. So what he
Wow.
does, yeah, and I'm sure in the bigger cities they've probably done better because I know their marketing kicked up. Hell, they're on Zuber and stuff too. But he was telling me that the real operators, the people that are looking for that deal right away, they'll go right to the county assessors every morning. Like he pulls a list every morning. So I started doing that too. So and he's a probate guy. I don't want none of that. I looked at the foreclosures, what I was looking at. But the guy that runs REI Conveyor Belt, Shad Najumi, he's got 120 different categories that he pulls. The guy's insane, but he's got 55 people working for him, so he can do that kind of thing.
All right.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that runs penny skips. I heard they were charging 12 cents a skip, where penny skips it used to be 2 cents, now it's 3 cents. It's still cheap. So penny
Yeah.
skips, I can look it up and put it in there if you're going to get into that. But yeah, so let us know how that works out for you, man. I'm curious at the PropStream thing.
Yeah, definitely will. The other thing I'm working on that I need to get my ass in gear is my father ran a program called Safe Streets Now here in San Diego some 20, 25 years ago. And what it is, let's see if I can get this right. It's civil nuisance abatement. So oh, thank you for the link. Rather than a community calling the cops every time that they have an incident with a particular neighbor, a particular property, they would then call my father or they would call the cops, and then the cops would actually contact my father. And my dad would go out there and set up a group meeting for the neighbors, all the good ones, and teach them how to document things, how to document the facts, right? So they could build a case against either the property owner or the tenant. And that's basically what he would do. He would hold their hands and walk them through the process, not doing the work for them, but just coaching them along through small claims court and through legal notices. Because essentially a legal notice has to be sent out to that property owner before they can be taken to small claims court. They have to be notified, right? They have to know of the problem. So we do it diplomatically. I'm going to be doing it diplomatically, where I notify the homeowner and let them know the problem. And if they don't fix it within a timely manner, then we threaten them with small claims court. And if they continue to not fix it, we take them to small claims court. So not exactly REI specific, but it will open up a lot of doors, and I'll get to pick and choose which opportunities I take.
No, that's good.
And it will increase my my income. It'll be through a nonprofit, but it's going to take a lot of time, but it's going to increase my income, which will increase my ability to invest. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, man.
And my dad's still around, so I'm gonna have a great mentor.
Yeah, you never know where you learn something from that's going to help you out. I was in a neighborhood long time ago before I got into investing, and we had a sheriff come out. It was Neighborhood Watch, and he
Hmm.
talked about, oh, this is kind of weird, but he talked about the broken window theory, where if you're in a neighborhood and there's a broken window, chances are if it doesn't get fixed, more bad stuff's going to happen, like another broken window or
Hmm.
or but bad stuff. So the idea was fix the window as soon as you can. And he was trying to tell us this because we had a tagging problem. People were tagging fences. So I bought a pressure washer and went out and started fixing them, and then had to flip boards around because it got so bad. Anyway, we would try to mitigate the broken window theory, I guess, thought, right? And so then, anyway, that translated into today. That was, I don't know, 15 years ago, where my thought process with my investing strategy was similar, but inverse. So instead of having, like, the competition has linoleum and, vinyl, or what do you call that? Kitchen countertops that's like not plastic, but
Formica.
yeah, Formica. Thank you.
Micah, yeah.
Instead of having that kind of stuff, which won't hold up anyway, we did granite and quartz and nicer stuff. So the thought process is the inverse of the broken window theory. Is like, if we make it nice, people might treat it better. That was the thought process, and it worked. And not only that, people have transferred to my co-living properties just because they're a little bit nicer, and then people stay longer. So that was but I can't claim credit for that. It was just more or less the opposite of the broken window. We just wanted something nice, so hopefully people take care of it. So yeah, you can learn stuff all over the place. And then now, if I have a problem in a neighborhood that I have, and I want to talk to the neighbors, I know who to talk to, Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I've been doing is I contacted La Mesa Police Department where I live, the smaller community, and then wasn't getting anything out of them. So I went in and contacted San Diego Police Department, and again wasn't getting anything out of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and not necessarily bypass them, but just continue on without them. And I need to find a case, work the case, and essentially establish a reputation. I'm sure somebody's going to remember the hider name. But like I said, that was 20, 25 years ago. So maybe some RSVP volunteer kind of cop. But I'm very excited about it.
Cool, man. Hey, Ricky, congrats, man. I saw your golden ticket on Zubers today.
Oh, nice. I missed it.
Yeah. I never saw the video where he announced mine, but I got him. So
Thank you guys. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so it took me a second to get to the mute button.
yeah, man, that's cool. I'd save that video. If you're doing YouTube, I'd stick it on your YouTube channel.
All right, I
Oh,
need
yeah.
to still trying to figure out how you pull videos from YouTube itself, but
I can help you with that.
yeah. All right, sweet.
I just put it in a playlist, but if you want to pull them down, you can. I typically don't because I don't know if someone's going to get upset by that. Yeah, I'm up to 606 subscribers. That was kind of cool.
All right.
Zuber at the one rental or the thing last February. What was it? Sean Cannell. So just hit record or whatever, just go. So I was like, all right, that works.
Yeah, I need to do more of that.
You're doing it though.
I have so many thoughts in my head. I just need to get them out. If I don't, then they tend to just kind of flutter away.
Well, so Ryan, if you're joining these, that's cool because on Frank on Wednesdays, he's the contractor over there. So, Ryan's our local contractor on the Sunday sink. So,
Yeah, I know my business. Been in the trades 25 years now.
yeah, if you guys,
Almost 25 years.
you can. What's your YouTube channel, Ryan?
All Nighter Hider,
Okay,
the namesake.
I'll go dig it up and put it in there since you're in the car. But I've watched your videos and I've picked up a lot. Now, you were working on an East Coast property, so
Yes, Gary, Indiana.
yeah, nothing like concrete slab, but there were some things that I picked up. And in the future, if I ever do go out east, then I'll have a little bit of it. Looked a little rough, man.
It was. I mean, I've seen it all before, but yeah, it was. I was going inside unseen. So I didn't know what I was going into. And I'm traveling across the country in my truck that I don't have a camper shell or anything. I'm limited to the security. I can keep my tools in my truck. So I really had to consider what I'm going to run into and what can I take. So I was just extremely limited in my tackle selection, if you would. Yeah, it was fun though. It was actually, speaking of tackle, and again, totally off subject, but I go out fishing yesterday on my kayak, and I take like 20 minutes to get to the San Diego Bay, and I get there and I start unloading everything, and I realize I don't have any terminal tackle. I got my rods, but I don't have any weights. I don't have any plastics except for what's actually on my rod already. So I was very much just limited to one lure. But I go out there and I hit up the bridges, and where people were losing stuff, I went ahead and gleamed from the bridge pilings, and I found the weight that I needed. I found a couple of jig heads. I found the plastics that I needed, and I actually caught some fish yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, my little overcome win story.
I put your link to your channel in the chat. So,
Oh, thank you. Centered here.
yeah, and for those, I'm not. The subscriber thing is not about. I think you have to get to 1,000 subscribers to be monetized and all that. It's not about the monetizing. I don't care about any of that. To me, I see YouTube as the modern day business card, kind of like I use Blink when you're at events. You know, the little. If you don't use Blink, that's kind of a nice, fast way to network with people. If you're local or face to face, but I think you can use it online too. But yeah, but I think
BLINQ, correct?
yeah. Let me go bring it up.
I believe it's BLINQ.
Yeah, they scanned. It's Blink Me is the website, but they just scan a QR code that you pre-configure, and then they have all the information you want them to have, and that's really helpful. I was networking when I was at Pace's thing, and I tried to talk to everybody, and I accidentally even talked to the film crew. I didn't realize they were film crew. Because well, the lady had got a deal. I didn't know. Like Pace said, "Hey," and so Shireen, I forgot her name. Shireen got a deal today, and I was like, okay. So I took note of that, and after it was all done, I went and was networking with her, and I talked to her, and I said, "Hey, Blink," she goes, "Oh, I'm part of the not the film crew, but the PR people, the marketing team." And I was like, well, Pace said you got a deal. And she goes, apparently, because he made her sign. So she got a part of this deal that she doesn't even know anything about. So the guy has a lot of fun with, he made 150 grand for those people in a week. He did this thing called the No One Left Behind Challenge. So people that joined the Sub 2 community, he basically reached down to the people who hadn't done anything in 2 years and pulled them up kicking and screaming. I mean, and then made them 150 grand. And I think his thought process is that if they get a little taste of it, they'll go off and do something instead of being you know, sitting around for 2 years doing nothing. So I don't know if that's good or bad. To me, I'm like, well, if they didn't want to do the work, then that's on them. But everybody's that he's a go-giver. I know people see that stuff on the media and he's flashy and all that, but man, he actually, I think he cares a lot. He's trying to bring everybody up.
That's an interesting concept. Using himself as a little bit of a catalyst. I mean, as long as they have what am I trying to say? A little problem to solve, as long as it's not being handed to them on a silver platter, because success can't be handed out. It's got to be achieved.
Yeah, he's a deep guy. I spent about 45 minutes with him before the film crew got there. And I think what he's doing, and there's an undertone here, and I know this might get a little weird and people might there's like he thinks that in general people are lazy, right? Which I think he's right. And so he's trying to show them a little glimpse, but I think his own purpose is more of, the rising tide raises all ships. I think his mindset is more of, hey, if we don't all as a society raise up and build a little wealth or have a little something to stand on to fight back in the future, we're all screwed, right? And so
Yeah,
I think that's his mindset, which is, the more people he can help out, the more people that might be in a position to help our country out in the future. And I don't want to get all off in the rails and all that, but I think that's what he's thinking.
yeah, weakest link kind of thing.
Yeah, because
We're only as strong as our weakest link. Yeah.
You got a whole nation dependent on the government. That's not good, right?
Funny enough, you mentioned that. I actually watched a small segment on Fox Business where they brought in someone from Dave Ramsey, and they were talking about how housing is unaffordable for younger people to buy. And then I looked at myself in the mirror. It's like, well, I guess I couldn't buy anything then. But small little joke. But the truth is people are not going out there finding deals. They're not trying to find ways to actually make more money. They're just doing it the lazy way. I mean, here I am. I had to do get VA disability. I had to work for that. Um, I work at Home Depot. I do DoorDash on the side, and I'm doing everything it takes. I'm actually looking at working with my brother-in-law to clean out rental uh, rentals with all the trash and stuff, so that we can get paid doing that as well. Bring on another job. I mean, I'm already tired as it is. Might as well keep on getting tired. So it amazes me how people are just coming up with excuses, and they're saying there's no way for people to retire where they could. All you have to do is buy 4 rentals or find something to get good at for 5 to 10 years. But they're just getting so clouded in their judgment and just getting all depressed instead of trying to look for a positive side. The end.
Yeah, only presenting the problem, but no alternatives. It's kind of like that doom loop that the Crash Bros are in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, go ahead and present the data, but let's put some positives behind it. Let's create something from it. I wonder how many are really suffering from hearing that kind of data. Oh, housing's so unaffordable. Well, I may as well not even try then. I mean, how many are using that excuse? It's really sad.
I'll admit it. I was watching the guy that pays or that Zuber hates, the guy Reventure app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody, I was watching him going, "Oh man, everything's horrible," because I read this book, right, Tax Free Wealth, and talked about real estate. So I was trying to do research on real estate, and I found that guy because he's everywhere, and I'm like, "Oh man, maybe this is a bad idea." And luckily, somehow I found Dion in my research, and Dion just basically, Dion, man, he's not holding anything back. I'm like, who is this freaking guy? And then that's how I found Zuber. And for me, I'd already started investing in August. So I was on a path, but that ORAAT thing. And by the way, I'm not pushing the Vegas thing in February, but last year for me, that was a huge game changer. Like I got to meet people face to face, and you know how they say communications like 70 or 80% body language. A lot of
Right.
that was there too. It picked up from all these guys, and the whole vibe was incredible, man. So, and it caused me to shift. I know Mark's here, but he wasn't at the event. At least I didn't see him. But everybody was telling me about you, Mark, and how you jumped in there and went 90 miles an hour and bought all these properties right away. And everybody told me, slow down, man. Don't do that. Go slow, because I was going to buy everything, right? And so I bought 3 properties in 8 months, but I stopped. I slowed down just to learn and everything. So yeah, it's crazy. Again, what you're going to learn like this right here, I'm keeping notes, by the way. So.
Which another thing they were talking about, which, Dave Ramsey worked for 30 years and retire, old, decrepit after working long period of time with, depending if it's hard labor, you're broken pretty much. And that's discouraging, especially people in my age group, Gen Z. It's like they don't want to hear that. That's just as negative of anything as well, because they want to live their life. And one of the time pretty much brings you to, hey, you can retire. You can have a really nice retirement if you buy 4 rentals. It don't take long to buy 4 rentals. And if you keep doing it for 10 years, you can retire in 10 years. That is an achievable goal that younger people can actually get excited about. Granted, they might want to do it in 2 years, but they're young and dumb like me. But I think if we just start changing the mindset for people like, Dave Ramsey, which they're probably not going to change their marketing on that anyway. But if we start changing the mindset for younger people, like, hey, it's not going to be 2 or 3 years. You may can do it in 5 years. That's really good. You're probably a genius in something. But if you just do something for 10 years and get really good at it, if we just start getting that switch turned on in a lot of younger people's minds, we can actually make a difference.
Yeah, if there's a purpose given to those 10 years, a lot of people just go through the 10 years without any purpose, just to survive. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, I wish I had a purpose a long time ago.
Me too.
Hey, there's a new series. I saw it on CNBC yesterday. I think it comes out. They said I think they said Monday, either this Monday or next Monday, called Millennial Money. And it says interview series profiling millennials in different cities at different income levels, how they make, spend, and save their money. Be curious to see what they're doing, but I saw that and I thought I'll check that out. You never know.
I put it in the link below. I put it in the chat. I do that
So,
because this Zoom, it saves the chat window, it saves the video itself, and then it saves the audio. So I put it in there. That way it's there for reference for if anybody asks in the future.
is that millennial money a rich dad poor dad thing?
I don't think well, it doesn't give, I'm just reading what it says online, but I saw it, I don't know, it was a day or two ago when I was watching. My wife loves watching Shark Tank, so it was, in those commercials on for Shark Tank, but I thought, oh, it might be good. It could be good for my kids to see. I don't know. That I just sharing what I saw.
I think Ricky kind of hit on something there. I don't know a lot of younger folks like you, Ricky, but I some of the places around here, there's two examples, one of which is a guy that lives in my neighborhood. He's, I don't know, 25, 26, something like that, lives with his dad. And essentially the business owner wanted to give him the business to run and make a decent living. And he's like, he wasn't interested in that. He'd rather just have his time. He likes part-time work and he lives at his dad's house. And I was like, dude, this is a profitable business that has a lot of flow. I mean, you don't know who we could network with. And he just flat out turned it down. I was like, wow, the guy that's running it has to move to Texas, has some family stuff going on. And so he can't run anymore. And this guy was the guy that was helping him with it. So he offered to give it to him. And he just was like, nah, I don't want to do it. It's like, holy crap, dude. That blew my mind.
I'll give you another example. I have a friend. He is a truck driver, and he has about $18,000 saved up, and he still lives with his mom and dad. And he's like in his he's 20. He's younger than me. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Go do something with that money. Inflation is eating the crap out of it. Go buy yourself a duplex or something. Especially you have that truck driver money. Stop wasting money. Stop spending it all, and go invest it in something. And I said, dude, I'll do you even something better. I'll go find you a deal, try to negotiate it for you. I won't even ask for any money in return. I just want to give you a deal so you can start with something.
Well, if he's got the right truck, if he's got the right truck, he could buy the duplex and live in the truck.
Exactly. And he just not into it. I mean, he'd rather stay with his parents, I guess, until they die or something. Then he'll figure out from there. I'm like, gosh, that just bothers me. I give you another example. My brother, he has what's it called again? Gosh, it's a mental disability though, and autism. There we go, autism. And I try to watch out for him. It's like he's getting kind of down. He doesn't feel like he has a sense of purpose. And I told him this: hey, you love spending too much of your money. Prove to me that you're willing to save up money, save $20,000, and we'll go find a deal together. Or we'll go find a business, we'll buy a business or start a business, and I'll help you out. You just have to prove to me that you're capable of saving up the money. That's all I needed from him. And he just still in it. It's just something about being a certain age, I guess. It's just that it doesn't click. They got every money they get, they got to spend. It's eating a hole in their pocket.
Some of that's age, but some of that's just, I think, is just personality. I think Zuber said it a while ago where, I don't know, 6% of people are entrepreneurs and other people are employees. I'm right in the middle, I think. I don't know. But I think there's some people, like I when I learned about tax-free will, I was telling everybody and I pissed off everybody I knew because they're like, dude, leave me alone with this crap, right? And I learned early, within the first 6 months, that some people don't want to hear it. They don't want to, and that's fine. And maybe they shouldn't. They do their life or whatever. And I just thought, man, I discovered the secret key or whatever at 50 because I'm old and just now figured it out. And I want to tell everybody. Well, most people don't want to hear it. This has been my
Mm-hmm.
experience. So I've got a friend of mine right now. He's 120 grand in the bank, and he won't do it. And he's got, I think he's,
Oh,
yeah, he owes 110 on a $600,000 house. At least he's getting a HELOC. But I convinced him to get the HELOC a different way because he was going to lose his job because he's an Intel guy, but he's not losing. He's good. But I told him, hey man, get the HELOC. At least that way you'll have a way to pay your mortgage if you lose the job. I know he's going to get bought out for a year, but eventually. So at least he got the HELOC, and he watched my velocity banking video. So I got one person somewhat interested. But yeah, some people just don't want to hear it. It's almost like religion and politics. It's getting to be. Finances are kind of like that, I guess. You don't want to. Some people just don't want to hear it. So, and I'm not pushing it on. If somebody asks me, that's a different thing. You guys know me, man. I'll talk your ear off. Like I've had people call me and just like, all right, I gotta go now.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to hear it until they need to, until they feel like they have to. They're in such a rock and a hard place position.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to wear those expressive shirts. So and I like grocery shopping. So oftentimes I'll be in line or something and just talk to people. Just throw something out there and see if it clicks. See if it resonates with them. And sometimes it does, and we get into these great conversations. When I was in Arkansas, I was at I think they're called Dollar General out there, and just talking to this lady, she looked like an Arkansasian, whatever they're called, and she knew the difference between currency and money, and she was able to describe it, and it blew me away. So anybody and everybody can learn things. Yeah, cash flow over everything.
Yeah, I found that airports.
don't underestimate the power.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, don't underestimate the power of waiting in lines. I love waiting in lines. You get to meet just great conversations. I love meeting random people in lines. I even have a line chair because of my back injuries. It'll start a conversation by itself. It's like a small camping chair I bring with me when I go vote or go to like the fair or something. People stare at me with envy, and then I just sit down and I just have yeah. I said I need to start bringing like buy a bunch of them and just bring them with me and start selling them at the fair for fair prices. Would charge normally $40 for, but $60 since we're at the fair. But that's a different picture. But yeah, it's interesting. You get to meet random people and just start conversations, and it's amazing what are in people's minds. And if they would act on it, it would be even greater.
I know people that have their accidental landlords, like a buddy of mine. He moved out of his house and bought another one, but he couldn't really sell it, so he turned it into a rental. He's making $500 a month on it now, and he's done. At least he increased it, I think, a percentage every year. It's been like I don't know 8 years now, but now that house is worth a lot. I was like, dude, you should cash out refi when the rates come down to it. He's like, what are you talking about? He just did it to let it pay for itself, and he's more focused on his W-2, and he's even in the game and doesn't know it, right?
Oh man.
I meet people at airports a lot, waiting for flights, and usually at the bar. And so,
Brandon, you're still muted.
There we go. Hey, I was going to share something exciting for all of us. It kind of goes along the lines of this topic. I had a senior in high school track me down and said, Brandon, will you teach a class? He says, I'm willing to come over to y'all's house. He's a friend of my daughter's. He says, I'm willing to come over to your house. I heard you teach a class on financial literacy and owning rental properties and businesses. He says, I'll not only come, but I'm going to try to get a few of my senior friends. So we're working on that we're thinking Christmas holiday and have them come over. I asked him to read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And I told him we're going to play cash flow. And I have teaching material for financial literacy. And then I also this week had the school say they approved me teaching 3 days in this one class of a friend of mine. She has 2 classes of seventh graders and one class of seniors. But it was just really neat to see this senior wants it desperately, tracked me down and said, can you do this? And I said, his name's Dylan. I said, Dylan, I'll have you over, even if it's just you, because you want it so bad. He says, no, I'm going to try to get a few friends. So those are some encouraging Gen Zers that are hungry for it.
I'll come take your class.
Me too.
I think you should do one on YouTube.
Maybe so. I do it the method I did last time, and I was telling somebody how I learned it. So what we do is I make it an evening, and so my wife's a phenomenal cook, and we had some couples over. Now these are adults, but we had three couples come over, and we played cash flow. So what we did is we played for an hour. We then broke for dinner. During dinner, everybody went around the table talking about what they were doing and what they were learning playing cash flow. Then after that, we played for another hour because then they heard everybody and what they were doing.
Mhm.
Then after that, they're warmed up and their heart is open. And then I taught for about an hour and a hour to hour and a half after playing cash flow. I'm going to probably do the similar thing with those seniors. My wife loves these kids. We know them all. We're in a small school, so we know every kid and we know their families. We're going to have them over. Mindy will love it, having big old her famous lasagna and just have the kids over and enjoying it. But I'm more excited about that in the next couple of months than anything. More than my building, more than really more than anything is pouring in to these kids. Making an impact is becoming as much important as it is my investment journey. Say that again.
Nothing. I was clicking on the link and I didn't realize I was still was on mute.
Oh, the CNBC link that somebody put in there. I did the same thing and I just muted before I did. Yeah, I agree, man. And trying to help people help themselves is a big rush, right? And then I learn, you learn as you're trying to teach, at least I do. And so that way it helps me, everybody like this here. Like the reason I'm doing this is because I learned so much. I get way more out of this than all I do is click a start the thing, right? And I get to talk to all you guys. So for me, it's just awesome.
Brandon,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Brandon, I think it's really good that you're doing that because I am in education. We don't teach money anymore.
Yeah, they're not getting it, and it's the most practical skill they need for the rest of their lives. And I'm telling them they're worried. I said, it's basic math. We're going to talk basic math. And that's what you're going to use most of the rest of your life. And it's talking about budget, living below your means, that if you'll follow this plan, I'm trying to work on the title because it's all about, the title and contracting them is how to be able to have financial independence in 10 years when you're 28. I'm gonna come up with something that really appeals to them if they will follow this plan over 10 years, house hack, using their language that we use too, they can have financial independence before they're 30.
You should go watch the video Dion did about a year ago. I think the title was something along the lines of "A Guy Became a Millionaire with Sixth Grade Math," something along those lines. It's pretty good.
I give you something funny about financial literacy and budgeting. So the district party chairman wants to give $5,000 to the state party because they requested it for campaign use. And he sent out a chain email and he used to say, we generally do not use I don't like using emails for votes, official votes, because you can't have conversations, you can't have debates. And everyone's just voting yes, 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 yes. And I said, I don't mind giving $5,000, but we need to do our due diligence. We need to look at our financial statements because we have a fundraiser coming up. We're spending all this money and we're just going to say yes to just giving out $5,000. And we do not know at this point in time what's the money that we have in the bank account right now. Is that money already been promised to be used for something else? And it's like these guys just don't understand budgeting. It's absolutely crazy to me how at a district level, all these people are supposed to be financially smart, learn how to run parties, how to do things and use money wisely. And they're just voting yes out of nowhere without having at least a conversation. So if at a political level, party wise, and these people are much older than me, you're talking about people that are like other than me being the youngest, the youngest person would be probably 40. As other than me, 40 is the youngest person, and these people are just like that, willing to spend money without even doing their due diligence. So if that's the mindset that our political leaders have, how can we effectuate policy that teaches our young folks to be financially smart?
Got to wonder what their personal finances look like.
Oh, God have mercy.
Yeah, it's not their money they're messing with, right?
Exactly. And I will say this, it doesn't matter who money it is. My friend, he likes to call me very shackled. My wife also called me very shackled. I don't care if it's my money or someone else's money. Brandon could hand me $10,000, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm okay with you spending $5,000 to get something." Man, I will somehow only spend $2,000. It's not my money, but it physically hurts me to spend that money. I will. It's funny enough. I will buy groceries or something. I swipe the card and I say "ouch" every time. It physically hurts to spend money. When I bought the property, I had to tell myself the money I'm putting in is actually in the house. It's not disappearing forever. And I looked at the bank account after the wire, and it still hurt my soul. I almost fell to my knees seeing all the money gone. But it's just people don't have that in them. It's really rare to find people that just don't is okay with not spending money and not spending other people money.
You want to talk about feeling pain? The first house I did, I had 24 grand down, which was great. And then or no, sorry, 20 total out of pocket was 74 with the construction. So it was like 40 some grand for the purchase and then construction. I was like, oh, that's rough, and I did the pilot or whatever. It's a lot of money to me, right? And then the next house, I couldn't do anything. I had to do a DSCR. I had to put $105,000 down. Dude, you want to talk about painful? And I had to do reno that cost me 37 grand. I was like, this is insane. But it worked. And so then we bought a third one. That one we had to put $127,000 down, but I didn't have to do renos. And that one's awesome. So yeah, man, I know it's going into equity. I know it's, still there, I guess, but geez, man, it hurts. It's still just thinking about it right now drives me nuts.
Especially after you worked so hard to save up all that money to actually use it. And now the time comes to use it. It's like, man, I hate to see all that money go away after you took the time to get it.
23 years.
Oh, God.
Yeah. This is my 401k that I liquidated, turned into self-directed. So good times.
Were you able to use it on the REI without any tax penalties?
No, that's why.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah. So I've got 10% hit on about 250 grand. And then I've got the actual tax hit. But in 2023, I was able to recoup about 45 grand of it. So that was cool. And then 2024, if the 60% bonus depreciation stays, hopefully, they retro 100. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to recoup. I don't know. I'm guessing somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 grand of that 250. I'm hoping, maybe not 90 grand, let's say, off my tax burden. So I'm going to be paying like 150 grand in taxes. So that's going to hurt, but it is what it is. The 10% plus that. So, but that's the reason the co-living is so important, because the cash flow percentage, I'm in the high teens, 18, 19% return. So yeah, I take a hit 10%, but you got to remember that's every year. Right. So yes, the first year I'm going to take the tax hit and whatever, but I've got the asset now that's cash flowing. So it worked out mathematically for me. And I've made up some money on lending because I've still got a couple $100 grand in the bank that I'm using to lend and other things. So it's not a total. I didn't liquidate the whole thing. I liquidated about half. So. But I'm looking to put it somewhere. That's the problem, man. I want to get that money working. T-bills suck.
Yeah, risk-free return, return-free risk, right? Either one.
Yeah, but it's a whopping $800 a month. and I pay taxes on half of it. So that's why I don't do the high interest yield savings accounts, because you're paying tax on those dividends, state and federal. Whereas the T-bills, you're only paying federal or state, one of the two. I can't remember. I can never remember which, but you're only paying half the taxes or some taxes.
I think it would be state because that's a federal loan essentially. I think.
Cool, cool.
Are you looking to deploy that capital and so like co-living still?
I was, but now if I lived in Arizona, I would buy a house and run a co-living myself right now. But I don't live in Arizona. I'm in Oregon, so I don't have a property manager that could run it if I didn't use, say, Pad Split. So my problem is human resources. Like I don't have a property manager that can run a co-living house, at least right now. I mean, they're out there and I've interviewed them, but quite frankly, I don't. Our goals don't align. They're not. Their standards aren't where I want them to be. You know, if that makes any sense. Their standards are a little bit lower. So their attitude is it's good enough, and I don't want that attitude. I want somebody that wants to drive. And I think what I should do is just give them some equity in the deal. You know, like 10%, something like that. Barbara Corcoran in New York, that's what she said she did. She just gave the people running the show 10% equity, so they had a piece of the pie, so they'd be more interested in making it successful rather than just collecting a paycheck. So I'm trying to figure out that person right now.
Yeah, aligning incentive structures.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm way cool with that if I just can just find the right person, because that's really hard. My handyman, this guy, he's really good. Jerron is his name, and he's really good. And I've kind of talked to him about it, but he doesn't have the marketing skills to because you know part of that process for the 10% equity and all that is yeah, he'd be good with the people and maybe the maintenance, of course, but the marketing part not so good. And I suck at marketing. I've been trying it, and I realized I suck. I mean, I'm trying to learn, but in the last year, I've got 4 members myself out of I don't know, probably 1,000 different. So my I guess return rate or what do you want to call it is a fraction of a percent. It's not very good.
I guess you can also become a private money lender.
Yeah, I'm doing that too.
Still.
Yeah, I'm doing that too. I'm getting anywhere from 12 to 15%, but that's 6 months, and that's not bad. It's not horrible, but and there's a lot of risk there. So I try to stick to just my return bar. I got one guy that's operating out of Tyler, Texas, and that guy's killing it, man. He'll come in, and I don't know how the hell he's getting these properties, but he's flipping them, and he'll pick them up for like 180, 215 is his range, and he'll flip them for 320, 350, stuff like that. So he's doing really good. I want to learn that when I get time. Like I retire in 2 years and be done with Intel, and then go out there and spend full time learning. Because what I'd ultimately like to do. Did you guys know Jason Pritchard?
Yeah.
Super puts him up on the list. So him and his wife will flip homes, right? They'll flip like 4 and buy 1. Flip 4, whatever that ratio is. And I think that is the perfect, at least for me, if you like real estate, like I like real estate, I like the deals and all that. I just need more time, but I would love to get into that. You know, I have a general understanding of not all things house. I stay away from electrical. It's like, how do you be good at this? But, you know, have an understanding of what you're buying, right? And then flip it and then make that money. And then you're going to be paying taxes on this. It's just like a job to me. And do 3 or 4 of those and then take a percentage of that and go buy a home and let it sit there, even if it's only 100 or 200 in cash flow, and just repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then after like 5-10 years of that, man, you should be doing pretty good. You're going to take some hits, but I think you'll learn and get better at it.
Yeah, that was actually part of my plan, was to do some flips, and then yeah, buy and hold every so often, every third or so maybe.
You have to, because that's the tax portion of it, right? That active income will kill you if you're just doing nothing but flips.
Right.
Buy that real estate in the same year, then you can offset that income and keep more of what you make, you know, and then just try to balance it out. But that's what I'm still trying to struggle with is I want to get to that zero sum game of tax hit. So didn't happen last year. It's not going to happen this year, and it probably won't happen next year, but I'm getting better as I go. And the year that I hit zero sum game, I'm gonna be like, woohoo!
Yeah, we should definitely talk further. I need to train my son a little bit more, but I'm pretty nimble being self-employed. So really, I loved going back to Gary, Indiana, and staying in the place for 6 weeks and just working on site. It was great. I absolutely loved it. Living on site and working on site, it was great.
You were walking on that second floor with those open joists. I was like, oh, dude, don't want to fall down that damn thing. And you're there all by yourself too, right?
Yeah, I was all alone on that one.
You guys ever see the movie Money Pit with Tom Hanks?
Oh yeah, it's a great one.
He's stuck in the thing and he's stuck in the little hole. If you guys haven't seen that movie, given that we're all the real estate investors, you should go watch
Oh yeah,
the Money Pit. It is awesome.
it's absolute classic Tom Hanks too.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the other supporting actress in there.
Shelley Long, I don't really like her, but it was such a good movie that
Yeah.
didn't matter. Yeah. The other one you guys have probably already seen is The Big Short. I've watched that one over and over. I love that one, man. Michael Burry.
I will actually tell you, there's a YouTuber I follow, and he doesn't do real estate. His main thing, he's a vet and a cop. They call him Angry Cop. Not sure if some of you know of him or not. And he actually has done a series on flipping a house and turning it into an Airbnb. And here's the wildest thing he did. Since he has such a huge following, he actually got his followers to help fund the project. So it made them feel like they were
Oh,
part of building up the project. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Because, I mean, he makes a lot of money off YouTube and stuff, but he actually had followers donate money for the project to see how he fits the crack house.
that's
So,
crazy. I was thinking of doing the same exact thing where I would have basically a GoFundMe, and then once it gets up to a certain point, then I would research a couple of projects and maybe give the viewers that have donated a choice between A, B, and C. And then everybody votes, and that's the one we go with, and then I fix it up and great, everybody's happy.
Dude,
But
I
they
do
don't get
that. I'd do that, Ryan.
wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. Ryan and I actually met in February last year. You're going again next year, right?
I am. I need to buy the ticket. I really need to do that. I've got it. I just need to do it.
Some of us were talking about getting an Airbnb, but I don't know how that would go. Be real estate junkie all day long and then probably talking to the wee hours of the night about finances. That would be pretty hardcore.
I was looking into them in North Hollywood, and I think I saw a 6 bedroom that has a whole bunch of beds, and it was like $3,200 for 5 days. Pretty reasonable if we were going to get a bunch of guys in there, a bunch of guys and ladies.
Is that close to the blind center?
I didn't see a distance, but on the map it looked 17 blocks, maybe small blocks. I'd
So
say within 2 or 3 miles.
I'd be careful. I wanted to stay close to the blind center too, and I was in Old Town and I got a hotel. It was not a good idea. They had an armed guard. This Uber driver that dropped me off said, what you're staying here? Then I was a little uncomfortable, and then I get in, I was like, oh dude, and it was so sketch. So, you know, just saying, maybe the Airbnb real close to that area might not be the best. I'd check out the pictures and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I won't do that again. I'll stay in the strip and Uber in for it's because I'm cheap, right? So I flew down on Frontier for $39 and I wore 3 pairs of clothes because I didn't want to pay for the luggage. Hey man, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I
And
love that.
yeah, but then I got a really cheap hotel. But sometimes, it's probably better to spend the extra money. And the door didn't work either, so that was a nightmare. I had to go back. Anyway, the whole thing was just bad. Yeah,
That actually is one of my goals, is to be able to just travel with what's on me,
yeah.
and just, yeah, not have to worry about anything. Be able to just buy anything I want. Help the economy wherever I am.
hey, Ryan, for the Airbnb, see, part of the complimentary package are plates. If there's plates there, you probably best not to go there. Or maybe if you are into
Interesting.
that, maybe you may be into that. I mean, you could be that scenario where a bunch of rangers had to secure the household, firefights with a bunch of blood. So you may be into that type of stuff and make a movie out of it. Who knows?
That was
One
in
world at a
Washington.
time, the
That was
Fast
in
and the
Washington,
Furious.
right?
I think so. I
Yeah.
believe so.
It was an
I mean,
SF guy. He was an Army guy, wasn't he?
Ranger, Army Rangers. He
Right.
got a bunch of his Army Ranger guys to come to the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, you maybe make a movie, run out of time, Fast and Furious. Ryan has to lead.
Yeah, but Ryan, let me know if you plan on doing that, man. I'd do that just for the fun of it.
I
Yeah,
plan to be there,
that would be a fun
guys,
one.
but it's my wedding anniversary is Valentine's Day, so at least I made it on the calendar, so I don't have to make it a fake holiday. But we'll be out there, my wife and I, and another couple. But we're staying down on the strip, and but we'll see y'all there. I think my wife might come for a portion of it. I bet you she'll go do. I'll be honest. I bet you she'll go shopping and won't be there much.
Well, Frank's wife, Cynthia will be there. I think Zuber's wife, my wife might come. She's up for it. We just have to figure out the kid situation. I've only bought one ticket, so we gotta figure that out, babe. Yeah.
I booked it all this week, so we've got our hotel and our flights, and we're ready to go. But we're wrapping it around an anniversary trip.
There you go. Could be a lucrative anniversary trip.
That's right.
I'm trying to confirm if my son wants to go. I don't want to spend the $700 just on a whim. Definitely want to take him though. I think he'd benefit from that environment. He listens to all the same things I do. Both my kids do. They just hear it inherently. And they do pick up on it. They give me some questions out of the blue sometimes and it's like, man, your age is not thinking of this at your age. So I know that they're hearing it and I know they're retaining some.
I was doing that Saturday. I was doing a filming of a deep dive on one of my builds just recently, and I just use her name. Hudson was in there with me. I went down to my office and was filming it, and it was fun to. Of course, he's in the background as my audience. It was kind of nice to have that, but he was listening to the financial conversation as I was going through all the financials, and then of course there are good questions. He was like, "Well, what is equity? What does that word mean?" And I love it. He's having conversations or questions that I wasn't asking just yet in seventh grade, but he's hearing it. The more he's hearing it, and my family hears these conversations, they're getting passively educated that I wasn't getting growing up.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's how I started out was I had the opportunity. I was in a rollover crash. It wasn't my fault. So I was getting a payout of 25 grand. And that was the most I'd ever had at any point in time in my life. So I thought, okay, I'm 38. I need to do something with this. This is an opportunity. I'm not just going to go buy guns and quads and stupid shit. I need to actually make this work for me. So I went on YouTube and I typed in financial terms and their definitions. I figured I need to know the language before I can even start watching these informative videos so I can actually retain some of this knowledge. It's worked out great for me.
That's awesome, man. I wish I would have figured something out before I was 50.
Ryan, I should have took your lead on it because the very first thing I did was buy a truck off the lot and bought two white phosphorus night visions. So, I mean, bought two dual white phosphorus. So it's like, you know what? Maybe I should have went your route, Ryan. Still
Well,
have the night vision to this day, but hey.
that's what you need. You need night vision every day.
I had Hudson read that Rich Dad Poor Dad for Teens. He read it when he was in sixth grade, and then I'll have him read it again. But that Rich Dad Poor Dad for Teens is about, I'd say at about, they won't fully understand everything, but at fifth, sixth grade, it's time for them. If you're wanting, to me, that's the most important thing I think I'm going to provide for my kids is financial literacy. Now, granted, they'll even ask, Dad, how many properties do we own? And I said, well, we don't own anything. Your mom and I own properties. And I did. I said, we don't own anything. Mom and I own them.
Damn, Dad. That's a page out of Dion's book.
So I had an idea whenever my kids finally get old enough, my wife and I are going to start trying for kids next year. And my thought is how I'm going to get my kids into this. So an idea is teach my kids how to find great deals, let them go find it, negotiate the deal, and come to me, and I'll fund the deal and then become partners.
Do you, for those of you that went to the ORAAT thing last year, did anybody meet Romero?
I did.
So Romero, he's local in Oregon. That's how I know. But his son is doing exactly that, Ricky. He's 23 and he's operating out of Missouri. And it got so successful. He was living in Vegas, but it got successful. He moved to Missouri, Joplin, Missouri, dude. It's like you can buy a house there for like 50 grand, fix it up for 20, 25, and flip it for 110, 120. And that's what he's doing. And so his dad's here in Oregon, but he flies out there and he helped him out. And that's exactly what he did. He got into the game. He taught his son how to do different things, and he's finding the deals because Romero's a contract GC up here in Oregon. He flips homes here, but he's done one or two with the team out that way. So yeah.
I'm teaching mine right now. Actually, they left while I've been on this call. We've got my seventh grader and junior. They're going to clean a property right now. And I know some of y'all know I manage about 200 properties. So they're not all mine, but I manage them. But that's part of some of the jobs they do. So they're out cleaning a property right now, partly to work ethic, but appreciate where they're at now. There's many layers to this. The money to me is not the important lesson I'm trying to teach them. It's work ethic and understanding just different places people live. This one's kind of a rough one that they're gonna see some things today that they're not accustomed to seeing.
Exposure is good.
Yeah, speaking of that, I'm going to be doing that Wednesday at 6 p.m. live. That you, Ryan, responded to that video I did, and then another lady wanted to talk about co-living. So I'm going to plug that here for the 10 people that are here. So yeah, Wednesday at 6, I'll do a live. It's going to be co-living focused.
Right on. I'll be there.
Okay, pressure's on.
6 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, Pacific. Sorry. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
It'd probably be better as a Zoom though, right? Like people interact on the YouTube thing kind of sucks, but I don't know. I guess that's one way to do it because I don't know that other, like if it was you, Ryan, and whoever it was, that you, John?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's you guys, I'd say, hey, let's just do a Zoom if you want to ask questions or whatever. But I figured that one lady's out there, so I figured I'd do the live.
Yeah, maybe eventually get her in the group and then we'll be doing Zooms.
Yeah. We got you in here finally. You're everywhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know how you find the time. You're in everything that I'm in.
I don't know either, to be honest with you.
I'm
I do get a lot of work done still.
I'm Ryan Stalker.
How is it going in Gary, Ryan? I know we're working there, right?
Yeah, it's a little slow. We're next phase is to get new appraisal for the building now that we have the basement redone. The basement was never finished. We had 4 units on top, uh, top and bottom, and then side by side. And then an unfinished basement. We turned the unfinished basement into a finished basement into a 3-2. So now we're looking to reappraise the property and do a cash out refi. And then from there, what I would like to do, which we still need to talk about, is take the single family house that's on property, demolish that, and build that back into another 4 units because we are zoned for 9. And I would like to kick that out as much as possible.
So when you do that, does that turn it into a commercial property or is it already a commercial property?
We already turned it into commercial with the 5-unit conversion
So
from 4 to 5. Yeah.
Did you finance it?
That was bought cash.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to worry about your debt. Okay.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, it worked out as a group. think there's 6 of us in the LLC.
6?
6 of us. Yep.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
All handpicked by Millennial Mike. So we
Oh, okay.
all he did an amazing job. He found the deal. We funded it. Everybody's a happy camper.
Nice. Yeah. If that comes up again, let me know. I wouldn't mind getting. I was trying to buy the fourplex right next to him, but I could never get a hold of his realtor to find out information. They're too busy, and I just said, fine, screw it." I kind of gave up on it. I shouldn't have, but my thought process there was I would buy it because it's right next to his that he just is working on or finished up, and then the value to him would be another property getting cleaned up in the area. But
Right.
I'd want to leverage his people, but he's so busy too. Now that he's got that night job, it all kind of didn't really work out.
Yeah, I did walk that street, and there's quite a few properties that need it. They're all dilapidated to the point of just bones are left. I mean, there's still the deteriorating skin, but only the bones are good.
Is it
What
a
zip
high?
code is that? I also invest in Gary.
What was that?
What zip code?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't remember offhand.
Because I have a duplex that's being
I should know that.
rehab and 46407, and it's the same case. Like most of the houses in the street are pretty caved in.
That was actually about the number I was thinking, 46407.
Hmm.
I've got to head out. I've got something to go to, but I just wanted to say goodbye. Enjoyed the conversation today, and we'll see y'all next week.
Cool. See you, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Well, these go as long as people want to go, time wise. So we've done an hour and a half. We've done 3 hours. So it all varies.
Looks like we're at 2 hours now.
Yeah. Anybody
So
have? Go ahead.
my question to Ryan is, have you been to the other 2 accountability groups?
I am a member of Mondays. That's the actual one that I am accountable to. And then I haven't visited Frank's, I believe, on Wednesdays yet.
So
You
So
I'm
should.
I
gonna
do
put
need to do that.
You should, man. Frank, dude, that guy's got you guys. You guys both being contractors. He's got a lot of knowledge in that space.
Yeah.
so I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Which accountability group, as of right now, is the funnest to be in?
Mm.
Frank's.
You have to say this one, right?
Uh, this one I'm able to engage a little bit more in because Monday at 6 a.m. is a little early. I'll be honest about that. But man, pros and cons for both. I like being able to just quite honestly speak a little freelier instead of word, a little more freely. But I also like the accountability of Monday morning. Like I feel like I'm accountable. I need to be there. I need to have gotten my goals done.
Wow. The Max is running that one, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Good for him. We're like Frank and I are just like, sync up, BS real estate. If he's actually have a regiment, that's good.
I guess the question was which one's more fun, and I'd say this one.
That's right.
We're gonna read the right book.
Oh man, now I really am in the hot seat.
I missed that one. What was it?
Mark's taking notes of what I'm saying.
Oh, Mark. Good. Mark likes to stir it up no matter where he's at.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mark knows this, but I think he actually got under Frank's goat here about a week ago. Better watch it, man. Frank's a big dude. I didn't realize that Matt, the lumberjack, was so tall, and also Frank. Frank's like, I don't know, 6'4" or something crazy.
Yeah, George Gammon is 6'4". I think Robert Kiyosaki is 6'4", maybe 6'3".
What? I didn't know.
What?
I thought
Yeah,
he was short.
they're that's what I thought too. I look way up at him, breaking my neck looking up at him. Yeah, he's ridiculously tall.
Wow.
Whoa.
So Ken McElroy, is he tall then?
He makes up for it. He is short.
Oh, okay. Because
I
they
think
were
he's
sitting on
actually
that
shorter than I am.
they were sitting on that plane together. They were sitting down. I couldn't tell, but it didn't look like he was, you know. I didn't think Kiyosaki was that tall. Interesting.
So fun
Man.
story about George and Kiyosaki. I went to, I think it was Rebel Capitalist 3. This was in, I want to say Dallas. And George is in the back. Robert is due up on stage, and George is in the back pinning the microphone on his collar. The absolute worst time for me to go and interject. But I grabbed my balls and I walked back there and I got in front of him and I said, Mr. Kiyosaki, can I ask you a quick question? And he starts, oh no, no, he starts shooing me away with his hands and everything and totally shooing me away. And I just went through the rejection and just asked him, when you go up there, would you curse? Would you curse for emphasis? This place needs a little bit of energy. And man, did he light up. Oh, you motherfucker. And he loved it. He absolutely loved it. He absolutely loved it. So he was fired up, and immediately he starts walking up on the stage, and his first words are, "I have to apologize to my wife because she asked me not to curse, but this gentleman in the back asked me to curse. I'm gonna fucking curse!" And he starts going off in Robert Kiyosaki fashion, and the whole place just erupts, absolutely erupts, man. It was great. And what I didn't know was that at that exact moment, Simon is in the green room preparing right after Robert. And
Uneducated
so he hears
economist,
this,
Simon?
right, yeah, uneducated economist. So he hears this big, huge eruption. He's totally nervous. I think this was his absolute first time going up on stage. And so he's already nervous. And then he hears the crowd just erupt, and it just like threw him for a loop.
I love that guy, man. Simon's awesome. Like, I don't know how many of you guys listening right now follow, like, if you're listening to Zuber, you get some of that, right? His financial take on that. But I really like following those macroeconomic guys, and on all fronts too. Like, I listen to, if you want to call it a spectrum of, if you want to call it politics, I listen to all of it, right? Same as this. I listen to Dion, I listen to Zuber, and I don't agree with half the stuff they say, but I pick up pieces from it. And of course, I'm doing a different strategy than anybody I know, which is crazy. But some of it still overlaps. So I listen to that macro stuff to try to get a understanding. Like if you watch Jeff Snyder, all of his calls, at least the ones I've listened to, have been right. They've all come to fruition. So that's the kind of person I kind of look into to say, okay, this guy's been right so far. And if he says something, I'll key into it. So I like listening to see where like the economy is going and different takes on things. So that's why I think it's cool that you're doing the same thing, right? You're getting a bigger view, not just so focused on just real estate. Like the people that were investing in Austin, Texas, but they were wishing they were paying attention a little bit more before all that went down, or Idaho, right? That was like, whoops.
Right.
But Zuber's good because he'll take in stuff and just present just some of the data and the facts and then give his little spin on it. So that's, if you're not listening to anything else, at least you're getting that.
Well, guys, I hate to run. I love being part of this group. I consider you all friends, family, but I do have to run because eventually my wife is probably going to come out here and pull me by the ear, and I can't have you guys seeing that. That's still good.
Well, hey man, congratulations again on getting that property locked up in the golden ticket. You said friends, and I don't know you that well, but when I saw Zuber did, I was like, oh, congrats, Rick. And I responded on the YouTube thing. I was like, hey man, good job. So anyway, so yeah, good seeing you again, man.
Yeah, congrats.
Right. See you guys.
See ya.
Well, I have to stay on because I'm the one doing the recording, so I can't say goodbye until you guys all say goodbye. So you guys run with it or call it or whatever you want to do.
Well, I don't know about everybody else, but I do need to get going as well. So,
all right, John.
All right, I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone here. Thank you.
Yeah, congrats on yours
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right.
Yeah, I better do the same. I got a bunch of laundry to go do. It doesn't do itself.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and call it then, guys. This has been fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'll definitely be here for next week as well.
All right. See you guys. And next time Shane said he's going to talk.
Yeah, I'll
In
talk.
the hot seat, man.
I've been I've been apprehensive because I have no properties. I have no knowledge. I'm just listening, trying to absorb as much as I can. And I don't want to ask the most noobish questions to where it's just no one else is learning from it.
Ask. You got to ask. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you'll
dude,
never learn.
Yeah.
you're right where you need to be.
Yeah.
So I'll ask one question.
Yeah.
Because I'm the type of person who gets just I have spreadsheets, I have data, I just gotta know all this stuff. But
Chester.
when do I
Yeah.
know I'm ready to buy a property?
We should have
And with all these, what's that?
we should have you talk to Wealth Building Journey, Chester. How long did he analyze for? Like what, 3 or 4 years, right?
Oh no.
Yeah,
See, I don't
something
want
like
to do
that.
that. I don't
Yeah,
want to
man.
do that.
Brutal. I mean, the guy had like 5,000, lines of spreadsheets and all this crap, and he went to every course known to man. He knows more about real estate than God or something, right? And so he finally decided he just bought a property here, I think, like 3 months ago.
Yeah, I'm hearing all these different avenues, and I hear pad split, and I hear this, and then there's all this software. In my mind, just like, what? I need to put this all up on a wall.
Well, you could
Yeah. So
you can start by trying to figure out what your goal is, right? And then work backwards. That's the way I figured it. And for me, it was real simple. The most amount of cash flow I could get out of a property. So that's regardless of all the other cons, that was the goal.
Yeah, Mark Moss
and one
actually
after.
described that. Real quick,
Yeah,
I'll finish
yeah.
real quick. Mark Moss described that the same way. He said, just like where we used to have shopping malls, they would have those maps. Well, you are here, and then you got your destination here, and then you just kind of draw a line in between the two. It's obviously not that simple, but you got to know where you are and then your goals, where you want to be.
Yes, I would spend some time trying to figure that part out, Shane.
Well, I'd say it. I mean, I'd say that's it. I've had 30 something different jobs. I've spent a lot of time, hands-on stuff, home remodels. I just hate working the 9 to 5 thing. So the long-term goal, cash flows it's the goal. And then the tax benefits, and you introducing me to the book Tax-Free Wealth. I was like, wow, open my eyes.
Yeah, man.
Because I want to be wherever I want to be at any given moment, working on whatever that is. So whether it's something at that location or whether it's something in the digital world. If I want to just fly across the country I like that freedom. I need to move around. I got ADHD like a mofo. and I want that autonomy and that freedom, so that's a big draw for me.
I have some of that, and what I did was, because that shiny object syndrome is real, like especially if you have capital, and I had capital and time, which is bad in a way, because I mean, it was all over the place, right? And I tried to focus it, but how I focused it was, and still satisfied the I needed something new, was the next deal, right? So you focus on whatever strategy, and you do that, and try to ultimately make it efficient and all that. But then that high that you need, because you get bored. If you're like me, you get really bored really, really fast. And so I have like a W-2 and a family and finances, velocity banking and videos, and then the buying the properties and all that stuff that keeps me busy. But I don't think you want to, this is my opinion, so you do your own research. If you have what I have, which is like, you got to do all this stuff, try like hell to focus in on one thing and get really good at that one thing. So for me, that was co-living, and I still want to keep doing it. But the problem is the path I chose with the property manager I had, that caused me to have to pivot. I'm like, damn it. So I still want to stick to co-living, but I don't know how to make it work. But yeah, I would try to stay within that thing, but then satisfy your OCH, ADHD, OCHD by doing more and more deals, looking at markets and that kind of thing. I don't know. Try to channel it. And also I'll say one other thing. Your goals are most likely going to change. Like you have a goal, you try to get there, but as you go, at least this is my opinion, as you progress and you learn more variables get introduced, and more capital, hopefully, or different things come in. So your goals might change. Like my goal initially was just to pay my bills, and I was going to be done, right? But then I got to that goal, and now my bills are paid by rental income, but I can't do anything. I can't go on trips. And so I was like, oh yeah, I got to add that part to it. So I went back to work to make more money, to go to real estate, to increase that goal. And who knows, when I get to that level, I have this sneaky suspicion that if I've passed up, I'm at, my income from the properties is the same as I make at Intel. So that's great. But, and combined, that's awesome. And then I want to I want to get to that same point with just the rental income that I'm making now. And at that point, I've told myself, I'm going to quit and travel. But I have a sneaky suspicion when I get to that point, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to want more because I want to travel more. You know what I mean? So you made change, is my guess.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember our conversation just about where, we met at that concert. You were talking my ear off, and I was loving it. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. I was like, he must meet a lot of people. I'm like, wow.
Oh God. Oh, guys, you got it. This guy Shane.
I just texted you a few days ago.
Oh yeah, man. I am so sorry.
I thought you were messing with me earlier. I was like,
no, I'm a dumbass. No, I'm a dumbass. Dude, I'm glad you're here, man. That's awesome. Yeah, Shane and I met at a concert, and my wife was so pissed at me. She's like, that guy paid money to be here to watch this It was like, what, $150 or something? And I didn't care about the concert. My wife,
it was like $90, yeah.
Yeah, it was my wife's thing, and I'm like, I didn't care about whoever was there, and Shane was there, and we just got talking. Hey, what you were saying a while ago, right? Like, I'm at a concert, not a place you want to be bugging someone, but he was eating it up, and we were talking. So, dude, I am so sorry, Shane.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm glad you said something, man.
I remember you mentioned the group today, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna join SKOOL. I don't have a damn property. I'm renting this apartment right now, but
hey, man.
Hey, I got great credit. I got some money in the bank. I mean, I need to start somewhere. So I'm just, so yeah, I just,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats, man. Yeah.
I'm just bored. Part of it's boredom. I'm bored with the Oregon area. I mean, if I'm being frank, the people in Portland just suck. And I want to be able to go to an event like that, to go into, to Vegas or Arizona. I like conversations. I like meeting people. So I want that autonomy. I want to be able to move about, and it costs money to move, to fly, to go here, to be mobile. So that's the ADHD part. I'm doing maintenance at a gym right now. The company just sucks. I won't say what gym it is, but I just can't. I just feel like I'm in a prison there, and I'm just not stimulated. I'm not engaged. So anyway, just going off on a million tangents, but yeah, no, it's awesome, good. It's good to be here and listening to all this stuff.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you said something. I was about ready to call it good and blah blah blah, but I don't know. Chat, if you want to chat. Well, you got my number, so.
Yeah. No, I just, like I said, hesitant, like, to wherever it's at, whether it's a workplace, I'm always kind of not necessarily in my shell, but I just get a feel of everything. I don't know if it's the environment I grew up in or what, but and I don't want to, I got to make this, there was this noob who was asking all these questions he could have Googled and just have all this,
Oh, so that's,
I'm just like, I'm just going to listen.
This group is very unique in that I don't think I've had, even in the SKOOL, there's 280 or almost 300 people in the SKOOL thing. And it's real different. There's some of that kind of stuff in, like, say, Sub2 or Gator or some of those other groups, because they're huge, right? And you're always going to get some of those people, but Zuber's done a really good job. The people that watch this type of content, this isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's not fast. It's very much personable, right? Like Ryan just said, hey, I want to do this thing. And I've met Ryan who does, like, hell yeah, I'll do that kind of thing. It's a long-term game, right? It's not fake guru shit. You know what I mean? It's like, hey man,
that's what I like.
This dude, like, that's why I just hold, like, Dion and Curtis. If you haven't, and the stories, like Curtis, this dude is a badass in my opinion. He went and bought a duplex, put up a wall, lived in basically a freaking small little area for a year, right? With no bathroom. He showered at the gym, man. I mean, that dude's awesome. And then after a year, he moved out and bought another one. So, I mean, he was willing to sacrifice the comfort to do it, right? And like Dion's story, if you heard his, he was making like $17 an hour and was underwater, 89 grand, blah, blah, blah. So I love those kind of stories. People are like, hey man, I'm going to make this happen, hell or high water, So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, speaking of those
And
kinds of stories,
Shane, sorry.
uh,
Hi,
I was
guys.
just going to say, Shane, it sounds like you're starting from a better place than those kinds of stories.
I think so. Yeah, I just got to get past the too much research and figure out where that's.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Vinay? I don't know how to say Vianney.
Vianney, but I go by Monica.
Oh,
I
okay.
was going to say to Shane that it's so good that at least he knows the spreadsheets. I am horrible at that, and I've been running away from that. I do have several properties, and I feel that if I was better at that, then my business would be better. And I've been really running away from it because I hate spreadsheets. I hate everything that has to do with making sure that the numbers are right, which is one of the most important things, right? I feel like in my head, I've been doing it with, if it makes sense, okay, I deduct this, I deduct that. And I was like actually doing it the wrong way. So I will say that you're in a better shape, at least when it comes to that. I mean, I've been lucky enough that I bought several properties, right? But I think I would be in a better shape if I would have started by knowing my numbers, right? I would have make less mistakes. And but yeah, I'm here to learn too.
So I'll be completely honest. Some of that was just figurative. I'm not great with Excel or anything like that. I'm working on some of that stuff, but mine was just the essence of just spending too much time. I got to watch these videos, I got to watch this, and I got to read these books before I can take action to do something. When a lot of the information comes through, taking action and making mistakes, I have to work on that personally. But yes, like spreadsheets, I think that would in this business, it sounds like that would be really very helpful tracking numbers and all that stuff. But
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
no
So
spreadsheet guru. I didn't want to give that impression or anything. So.
I'm gonna start asking for tips right here, but
I
no,
can
don't
I can
sweat it.
help
I'm
out
kidding.
in that regard.
Oh, really?
I'm a
Oh my
nerd.
God, I hate spreadsheets. So I um I have a situation right now that I want to bring to the table and see if you guys can give me some advice. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I submitted an offer in this property that I have. I posted on I posted on our school, but I want to just run it with you guys. So I have a situation that I submitted an offer on this property that is going to go in foreclosure next week. The salesperson has not realtor has not answered me, and I submitted my offer about 3 days ago. And so I keep emailing them and trying to call them, and they have not responded. Most likely because it's the weekend, but that's excuse, but whatever. And the house is gonna go in foreclosure next week, so I'm trying to figure it out. If they don't answer me, how can I buy this house in the auction because it's going into auction next week? Right, because the real estate agent is not answering me. And the house is still available. It's in the MLS. But if it goes into auction next week, I want to tap into that property. Any ideas? Any recommendations?
So I think Dion's talked about this where if he hasn't gotten a response from a real estate agent, he will surpass them and let the owner know that, hey, your agent hasn't been responding, hasn't been communicating to me. And especially if it's a timely issue, like it's going into foreclosure in a few days, hey, I'm sorry to contact you directly, but this is the case. Your real estate agent, your representation is not representing you very well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one way. If you did want to wait and go to the auction, I have attended a bunch of those. And if it's a trustee auction, you pretty well need to be ready for it, meaning that you have to have all the funds verified. So go with cashier's checks. The way that I've seen it done is these guys, these professionals, they bring a bunch of cashier's checks because they don't want to just take one for like say $1 million and then go buy a $500,000 property and then a $500,000 is tied up that they're not able to use at that point in time because it's tied up in the cashier's check in that transaction for maybe 3 months or so. So what they
Uh,
do is they'll bring a bunch of, I mean, San Diego prices, we're talking San Diego prices, but they'll bring like I don't know, maybe $1,200,000 cashier's checks. And then if it's 650, they give them seven of them, and then only 50 is tied up or something like that. but
Okay.
they're always
So
they bring them so that they're right there. They don't have to go to the bank or anything because the trustees want the transaction pretty well done right then.
I see. So it has to be all cash.
Cashier's checks, yeah. Or I don't know if money orders work
But
with
hey,
that amount.
is that all auctions? Because I know some people go to auctions and they have all that's required is a proof of funds up front. And then when it happens, they can, because I know people that use their HELOCs and they wire it. So is that, I mean,
I wonder, yeah. I
it
would
could
think
be,
it's all auctions.
I would check with the auction that you're doing. And have you seen
Yeah,
the
if you
property?
can.
No, I have not seen the property, but my real estate agent did a video of the property because I'm like 3 hours away, and I think this is a good deal if we can get it at the price that I want, right? Um, but I don't know where to go from here. You know, I have never purchased a auction property. I have purchased a foreclosure property. Um, but this is something new for me, you know, and I've been looking for a property. I really need to get into buy a property before the year ends because of taxes also. So I feel like this can be something really good for me, but I do feel kind of lost with it.
You got to be careful too, because Ryan, I'm sure you know this too, but some states have I forget what it's called, but just because you bought it, sometimes they have, like Oregon has, I think, a 60-day or 90-day or some day or time limit to where even though you bought it, the original seller has a certain time frame where they could come up with the funds and purchase it back and obtain the
Yep.
property. And I'm not sure what happens to you in that case with your funds being tied up in it. So I would, I know you want to get this done and you only got a week, but man, for me, I would want to check into that. There's people out there, this is their sole business. What they'll do is they'll go to these auctions and they'll lock up well, actually, they'll go to the auctions and the person that bids on it, if it's in a state that has these, like I think Arizona is one of these, where they have a 3-year window of, I don't know what it is, but if someone's in arrears and somebody buys it, I don't. Anyway, the point is they buy every year for 3 years. There's a 33% coupon, if you will. And so let's say it goes to foreclosure. It takes 3 years to get the damn thing or something like that. I don't know if it's Arizona, I think is one, and there's a couple other places. And they go in and they buy the rights that then the first year and then the second year. And then in the third year, either the potential buyer may buy that one and they have the other two. You have to have all three in order to get the property. I don't know what that's called. Do you know what that's called, Ryan?
Sounds similar to a tax lien sale.
Is that what it is? Tax? Oh yeah, sorry, that's what it is. Tax liens. And the tax lien situation, there's people that do that. They'll go out and they'll buy those 3 years of tax liens, and then they'll hit up the auction person. That's a long time that whoever buys the thing and said, "Hey, you don't have to wait that 6 months or whatever it is if you want to buy all three of these, right?" And then they'll sell them it.
I think that's what Kiyosaki does.
It's like
He talked about
extortion.
doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sonny Sukumar does it too. He's in sub 2 and he does notes and he does that. And I'm like, I don't know. That's just weird to me, but it's cool for other people. So anyway, be careful that potential situation, whatever state you're in. It might be the case where you buy it if it's a tax lien, or I guess it's a foreclosure.
It is a
Okay,
foreclosure,
so
yeah.
totally. So I'm sorry. I didn't remember where that fit in. See, Shane?
I am in California, so
You and Ryan.
Yeah, I think we have 45 or 60 days here that the original owner can come in, and I think original owner or tenant, if it's a investment property, can come and buy the place because they live there.
Do the tenants have rights first?
So.
Like first position rights or something?
They may have
that's
second.
California, right?
Yeah. They may have second rights behind the actual owner.
Yeah, but before a potential future investor, that sucks.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, man, I can't invest in Oregon or anywhere on the West Coast. So the closest I get is Arizona.
What I would do, Monica, is see if you can find out who the trustee is as well and contact them. It's going to be it's usually an attorney that they hire. So the bank will foreclose on the property and give that essentially over to a trustee company, which is just an attorney. and then the attorney acts as the seller, if you would. So if you can contact the trustee company, they'll be able to give you a little bit more information as to like when the auction is, where it's going to be, maybe even who the auctioneer is.
Okay.
Is it still
Okay.
possible to buy it before it goes to auction if you get a hold of the people, you think?
I don't know if they want you doing a short sale, but yeah, maybe possibly. And actually, the trustee will be the one that would tell you exactly how they want the funds. So if it's a wire transfer, how they want you to verify everything, they're the ones that would be the authority on that.
Okay. What would be the best way to find information of this attorney, the trustee attorney? Through the seller?
Yeah, if you have contact with them, they should know who the
I
yeah,
have to
maybe
find
through
the
the
information
seller,
because
or through their lender, they may be able to tell you who the trustee is.
I've
Either
seen
that or one of those aggregate sites like PropStream.
Well, I was going to say, if you go, I see the deed of trust sales, what it's called, is what I searched on through Maricopa County. And that's on the Washington, or not Washington, the Maricopa County Assessor website. And you can go in and there's like all these different things. And I had a guy help me out that the title company, because he's interested, because I'll use him as a title company if I buy stuff. So he showed me how to do it. And I go in every morning and look at it. So you might be able to find out information from the whatever county assessor's office that you have. Just it was worth a look to go look at it. A lot of them will do a like if you know the parcel number on the listing, I would capture that because that's how a lot of them do their that's how
Yeah.
PropStream aggregates and all that. But the county assessor, it's a way easier to find it if you go to the assessor and just plug that number in, then boom, it brings all the stuff up on it. Whereas if you go in on the other way and you try to search through all this crap, you're going to go down the rabbit hole till you find it.
yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. The APN, the assessor's parcel number, is way more accurate than a tax address or something like that. Yeah, it'll take you right to the property you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing a
That's a
county
good advice.
recorder's office come up.
In California, where's this at, Vianney?
Bakerfield.
Bakerfield. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, cool. I've driven through there a few times.
I Well, just to let you guys know, the I invested in Bakerfield because when I started about 3 years ago, there was rumors that they were going to start a casino in there. So I started calling the city and all that, and then a year in, the plans got approved for a casino in there, and then they just break ground about 5 months ago. So that was the reason that I started buying in Bakerfield. And
Nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I can see the potential how the property prices are going to go up in that neighborhood, especially if it's close. And I can see my options, moving from position if I want to do more of a short term, long term, whatever I want to do. And I'm looking for houses that also has a plenty of land, or at least some land, so I can install my all RVs and I can just set them up there and then just build a wall and then rent that separate so that way I can make more money, right? So I can be creative. So that's my goal.
That's where the networking comes in. Did you find out about the casino through, how did you find that out?
You know what? Actually, because I remember that someone saying, "Look what's going on in your city," and I was like, "Well, let me figure it out, right?" So I called the city and I asked, what was the big buildings coming up in Bakerfield, and they hang up on me several times until I find someone. They're like, "Lady, you don't even know what you're talking about," and they were right. I don't know, right? But eventually I find someone that they told me, well, you know what, the big project that Bakerfield is having right now is the potential casino. And then I start digging into that, and then eventually the plans were approved, like I said, a year after. And now that it hit ground, so that's something that I end up staying with because I mean I'm sure the potential is there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I network with a lot of people, even though I'm out of state in Arizona, and I happen to know that there's a city called Maricopa City, and it's about an hour south of Phoenix, and I don't invest there. But I've talked to a lot of property managers there. There's a casino down there, is why I was bringing this up. But that road right there, there's a freeway that goes from Phoenix to Maricopa, and it's pretty dangerous. And it goes through like a territory that you can't really build on, the Indian reservation. And so they just struck a deal with the local municipalities and the Indian reservation and the whoever builds the roads, and they got a green light for it. So that road is supposed to start next year. So I was, those kind of that kind of information. Now it's still an hour south, so it's kind of far. But that city, it's weird. There's a racetrack down there, casino down there. There's some other things, but the houses are like $100,000 cheaper down there. And so I was thinking, oh man, my return on investment would be way better if I could make this type of play work down there. But the reason I'm in Phoenix is because the city's it's big, there's millions of people. So that way this type of play has more and more potential renters. So Maricopa doesn't have that. But I like that, you learn about different things, and I watch data and listen to macroeconomics and things like that. And so that's why Gilbert, Arizona is so attractive to me, is because I know, like I've mentioned in a previous podcast or whatever you want to call these things, that the medium income has gone up. It surpassed Scottsdale in Gilbert, Arizona about 7 months ago. So more and more people are coming into that area that are making more money, and the area is being gentrified, and the houses are getting more and more expensive. So I kind of want to get on that train early, but haven't been able to make it work just yet. So I like that, the networking, learning things, like the casino is going to get built, the potential for appreciation increases.
Yeah. And the fact that I think it's important that I don't rely on, okay, if that's going to happen, that's the only way that I'm going to make money. I'm trying to figure out how can I be creative so I can make money now, right? For example, I have two properties in Bakerfields. The two properties that I bought in Bakerfields, I make sure that I already have equity in it as I purchasing, just to make sure if something goes wrong, guess what? I still have some money in those properties in case something goes wrong. Because I'm not, I'm learning this, right? This has been very challenging for me. I'm from Mexico, and this is not what we do in Mexico. This is not what my family does, right? I'm like the weird of the family when it comes to that. And I have a full-time job. I actually have two jobs, right? And I have my children, I have my family. So I'm trying to do this with real estate, and it takes a lot of learning. So I'm constantly trying to figure it out. What's out there for me to learn to really make this a business?
That's smart. I know, like a lot of the Airbnb operators wish they would have thought about the future and not one-trick ponies right now. Because I know that the third house I bought, I put a lot of money down, and I could have got away with running that as being comped as a short-term rental because it would fit. But that would have meant that if I had a bad month and if my co-living thing didn't work out, I'd be screwed. So actually the DSCR that I got on the third property was also based on a long-term rental, not the short-term rental. I didn't have that option on the second one because it didn't actually hit their criteria for, you can do a DSCR based on long-term rentals or short-term rentals, midterms. And so I don't know if people know that. They typically want long-term rental, and that requires at least 20% down. In my case, they forced me to do 25 because I was a novice investor. And then the third property, they made me do 30% down because I was a novice. And they're like, this guy's crazy. But yeah, so you can do that. But I did what you did. I had enough equity in there with the purchase, and then also putting the down to where if everything goes to shit, I can still run it as a long-term rental and make a few $100. So, because I don't know what the future holds with the co-living, right? It should be good. And I know the municipalities want it, and affordable housing, so it's not the same as like a Airbnb or something like that where it's not really necessary and people are whole NIMDA, not my backyard kind of thing, and I get that. But in this case, the governments that are in control, the counties that are in control, they need this, and so it's actually providing a service, much needed service. But at the same time, just in case something went south or whatever, I could still run as a long-term rental. So that's smart. Good job.
Thank you. Good for you.
I've heard a lot of very successful people say that they plan for several different exits because they don't know what the future holds.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I'm sitting in a lot of cash right now, is because I kind of half-ass want to get through a tax year, but at the same time, I just happen to think that right now is the best freaking time. Especially, I actually agree with Zuber on this. Like, now that the rates have gone up, it's even better. like a house my wife and I are looking at in Gilbert. We've been toying around with it. We'll lose money. We'll lose about 8 grand on it, 8 to 12 grand in the first year. But then in August of next year, the Section 8 rents go to 3,500. And so right now, the mortgage on that would be about 3,100, and the most I can get out of it, even if everything was perfect, would be like 2,800. But the average area rents is about 26, so I'm under. I would lose money on it as a long-term rental, but I could run it as a co-living. I could live in the garage kind of thing, and then rent the other rooms out as a primary if I wanted to do that, and that would break even. So it would actually pay for itself, and then in August I would go to Section 8 and make probably 200 after, it'd make about 400, but you got to set, aside for vacancies and all this other crap. And so basically it would break even with like $100 or something like that. But that would be more of an appreciation play, not a cash flow play, because of if I could get the property at 480, it's listed at 454 or 445 right now. But it's been under contract twice and it's been on market now for 65 days. So I was thinking about making that 480 offer, but it's a break even, sort of a long-term appreciation play. And none of the houses around there are anywhere near that. They're all like 550 or better. There's like $1.2 million homes. It's a non-HOA, so it's really rare. And I'm sitting there going, I can't stop thinking about it, but it's not this is back to what Shane, I was telling you, my goal is cash flow. And this property doesn't fit that goal. So I'm trying to ignore it. But in the back of my head, I'm like, oh my God, this thing, I know in 5 years, I'm gonna look back on this and kick myself for not buying it. But right now, the goal is cash flow. So I don't know. I haven't called my agent. I did walk it though. I walked the property, talked to him for a bit. And of course he wants me to buy it because he's my agent. But you got to listen to yourself, and oh man, I'll just be pissed at myself later and I'll worry about the cash flow now, I think. The other option is buy it and run it as a sober living. And then I'm out of it as far as maintenance and all that, or managing it. But they pay 25% above long-term rentals. But this guy, Nate, that runs Oxford House, hasn't got back to me. And I keep pinging him like, what's the deal? So right then and there, it's not going to work because I got to have communication. So that sober living guy's out. And there are other ones, but I like that one because they take care of the properties and they're good operation, except they don't get back to me. So the other ones, you can actually make more money, but they don't give a shit about the property. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me either. So it's like, damn it. So what you need to do, Shane, move to Arizona, be a property manager, go out market and run all these things for all these investors.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking that earlier when you were talking about that. Because I think I'm gonna finish the course. I'm on the last leg of this real estate course, and I'm in the property management section right now. Then I'm sick of Oregon.
Well, I think you have to have that to be a property manager, the real estate agent license, I think.
Yeah, to do more than one property. Yeah.
And then Arizona is even weirder still. You have to live there to be a property manager.
But I was thinking, I'll finish this and then I don't know if you want to take any kind of marketing course. You said you weren't too well versed in that, but I took the Google e-commerce and digital marketing course. I think it was like 3 months or something like that. But they just dive into all different aspects of digital marketing. So
I wrote that down.
It's all kind of
do that.
Coalescing into this through Coursera. You can also take just the individual, if there's only parts of it you want to take and you don't care about the certificate, you just want the knowledge, you can just take the individual units within the entire course.
Awesome.
The SEO, the email marketing. Yeah.
That is awesome. I want to learn about it just to learn about it. But right now I'm back at Intel. I'm not going to have the time to do any of that. But
yeah, I'm happy to share with, what I've learned about it. So.
See, you're adding value, man. Cool. Well, I know that Ken McElroy started as a property manager, and he's worth what, $4 billion now. So,
man, yeah,
it's a good path for him.
Ton of liability, that's for sure. I was like, whoa, that'd be intense.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Speaking of Ken McElroy, I watch his assistant's channel, which is also George's assistant, Josh Lazard. The famous Josh from Rebel Capitalist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Joshua Lazard has a great channel. He talks about working with Ken and Robert and George, and Man, his journey is absolutely amazing.
He
Absolutely
tattooed
amazing.
his leg, didn't he, or something like that?
Right. Yeah, he was 18 looking for mentors, asking people if he could buy their mentorship, just cold calling them. And then he found George and yeah, got his logo tattooed on his left thigh, flies out to Arizona and goes to the same meetup that I went to actually. It was a rooftop bar. And at 18 he wasn't allowed in.
Oh crap!
So so he actually waited outside the whole time and impressed George. Quite honestly, George saw that he had waited outside the whole time, and George just man, they latched onto one another, and George took him under his wing, and now he's got his own wings and he is flying. Man, it's awesome.
That is cool, man.
Yeah, he shares his journey on there, and he's got some nuggets, man. Oh my goodness,
It's also, he's younger, right? And so
he's only 21. Yeah,
yeah, and so that like Ricky that was just on here, and I think Mikey's a little younger too. I don't know, he might be a little, but certain people, there's this different mindset, and if you're in that world, you have a little bit more knowledge, depending on what you're doing, like sales or whatever. But you understand, like I understand my generation, right? But I don't understand the younger generation, like at all. I don't. Um,
mm,
it's a different world. The work ethic is totally different. There's a lot of, I'm not trying to be negative, but there's different mindsets, if you will, right? Different ideas. Like me, I was like, hey, go to get a job, get, blah 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 blah. And then I've learned that, okay, maybe their mindset's actually a little bit better, more entrepreneurial in some cases, where I should have been doing that. But no, I'll go to work, get a good job, blah blah blah, work my whole life, and then figure it out at 50. So
When they were born with an iPad in their hand in the digital world with all this information they're being inundated with, just these influencers and entrepreneurs and
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. I can't even fathom growing up that way, because we didn't even have, like, there was no internet, and we got a TV. I think when I was like 10, because I grew up in Greece. Actually, you know what? We had a TV there too, but it was that little teeny black and white one. But we didn't watch it because it was all in Greek, and I didn't, So we got back to the States, and then got a TV, and that was a mind blower, right? You had 3 channels you could, change. Woo! And then I told my son this the other day. Is like, my wife, she knows obviously, but TV at midnight just turned off, and he's like, "What?" Like he couldn't fathom. Like, what do you mean turned off? I was like, "Yeah, dude, it counted down." I was like 12, 4, dude, and then all night long it was just like, what? He couldn't fathom that at all, man. A different world.
I was recalling we get the lines,
Yeah.
coming across, and you just go and just slap it.
Yeah. Or the fact that
That's
there
wild,
was no
yeah.
like internet, that's a big one. But then the rabbit ears, right? We had to actually adjust it and hit it and everything. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like he's a 4K kid, right? Like he's like, oh, this is 4K,
All
and I've got
digital.
200 frames per second on my computer and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, we had like a couple lines that formed together that may look like a picture, and oh, that's Wile E. Coyote. Cool. We enjoyed it. Oh, and the other one is, the big one was, you had to be there at that time. Saturday morning cartoons, you either watched it or you didn't see it. Period.
We're gonna
Right?
miss it.
Yeah. And so he's like, "What? You couldn't like watch it?" They're like, "No, man, that was it." And so you missed it. You missed it. Commercials and all.
There's actually intention there. It wasn't just a reflex or impulsive or just so it popped up in your feed or it's
Right.
just
Right. Fun to look back. I think we're the last generation to have, experienced the old and come up through it, because everything's changing so fast now. It's just quick. Like I was in Phoenix here recently, and I saw the Waymo cars, the self-driving cars.
oh wow.
Dude, it was wild. And that they're not perfect, because there was this 60-some-year-old lady. She got in the passenger seat of one, and I was downloading the Waymo app trying to figure it out. It wouldn't work, and I found out later that it only does the Phoenix Metro, and I was trying to go to Glendale. That's why it didn't work. But otherwise I'd have gotten one. Maybe this old lady, she's like 65, 60 to 70, something like that. She gets in the passenger seat. There's no driver. This thing pulls up right out the airport, Terminal 4, and I'm standing there waiting for my Uber, and she pulls up, gets in this thing. It takes off, and it's not slow. It goes kind of quick, right? But it just slammed on the brakes because someone was coming like 80 down the thing, and the camera saw it, And so it slams on the brakes and she goes flying forward. And then the car passes and then it takes off. So this poor old lady, I don't think comfort was part of the equation, right? And I'm like, holy crap. And the guy right next to me, he's this tall dude. He looks at me, he goes, I'll be waiting on that technology a little bit longer. Crazy though, man.
Oh,
That's
you got some
terrible,
courage.
man.
I guess they
Oh
go
man.
5-10 miles over the speed limit too, so they kind of go a little fast. But those things are everywhere down there. The Waymo car, it's WAMO or WAYMO, maybe something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, things are going fast.
Man. Yeah, here in Portland, they're getting rid of roads, man. We just want bikes, just bikes here.
Yeah,
Well, I'm in Westland, so I'm away from it now, but yeah.
yeah, we're way out here in Forest Grove where that concert was at. So
Yeah.
we'll be here for another 4 years, and then we'll probably be in like Gilbert or Scottsdale or something like that. Move down
Nice.
there, at least for the winters, and then the summers we'll come back up here. It's kind of this house that we
That's
have.
the idea.
Yeah, come back here in the summers, but we figured out what we're going to do. Pacific University's right here. And so it's perfect because 9 months out of the year, we'll rent it out to the college kids, right?
Oh yeah,
Then come back in the summer when they're not here. So it's perfect because
that is perfect.
we checked with the property manager, and what they're doing is he's got 30 units here, and about half of them are college kids. And what they do is they force them to pay the entire year, even though they're gone in the summer. So if they want a place to live, they have to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a 9-month lease. We're going to have the school year lease because we want the house back in the summer, right? So it's going to work out pretty good, I think.
Nice.
Either that or we'll do the
Set yourself apart.
what's that?
Set yourself apart from the rest.
Yeah. And I think we'll do that. Well, we'll find out here in about 4 years when we do it. But there's another play here that is a little bit more lucrative, but also a little bit more risky. It's funny how those two, work out. But that school happens to be the third largest optometrist school in the world. I didn't know that. And so these professors fly in from all over the place for like 6 weeks when they're doing their little courses. So we could run it as a midterm because they like to bring their families. And this house it's a big house. So it would accommodate a really large family. So we might look into that too, but we got 4 years to figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah, buddy. Well, guys, are we getting close, do you think, being done, or is there anything else we want to chat about?
Yeah, I'm ready to go on the lawn.
Oh, you broke up there, Ryan. What was that?
What was that?
I'm ready to go hop on the laundry.
All right, man. Well, I think we'll go ahead and call it unless someone's got one last thing.
Really briefly, circling back to the
Yeah.
research and how do I put this succinctly? So I want to buy a property. Are there some metrics, some analysis, something I should be armed with before I decide, okay, I'm going to go out there, get a property and know that I'm not paying too much? And what is it? What is a good amount of, is there just no answer to this question?
It's a loaded question. It's a good question. It's just It's like about 100 different variables, if not more. Depends on your goals. It depends on where you want to buy. Zuber,
that right there helps.
Yeah, well, I mean, also, Zuber will tell you look at a market. I think he says like 6 weeks. I look for 5 months, but I was just like, I didn't want to be that analysis paralysis guy, but I wanted to make sure that what I was doing at least had a fighting chance, right? And I needed to know what the market was. And so I kept looking. And at the time I bought, it was probably not the worst time, but I bought at the top, right? So, I mean, I paid list price. That's another thing I did that was stupid. But I didn't care. I wanted to get going. So if you want to, I can talk at length on all those different things, all the mistakes I made. If you want
Yeah.
to hit me up later. But
Okay.
yeah, you have to analyze the market, get to know what average area rents are. It depends on your strategy. If you're looking at doing like a long-term rental, if you're looking at doing like a house hack, like maybe you're going to move into it and rent out the rooms, which is really helpful. It offsets your living expenses. Matter of fact, that's what I
Might
would.
have to.
If
Yeah.
I was going to do this,
But
I
it's
would.
tricky being in the Oregon area, right? It's like,
Yeah, Oregon, dude. Like, yeah,
so
all the
I'm like, would I be moving to Arizona or somewhere else? But
Yeah, I would look at markets and look at insurance and taxes and all that. That's a big thing. Luckily,
okay.
man, I got so lucky because I was looking at Florida and Texas and Arizona. And the reason I chose Arizona was what I had family there, but also it was the property taxes and the insurance. Because at that time, they weren't that bad. They were just better in Arizona than they were in Texas and Florida. Because Florida was a little bit higher on insurance for certain things, and it was further away. And I don't like the humidity anyway. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
and then North Carolina was an option. And I was like, it's kind of far. And I was like, okay, Texas is close enough. And Texas, is good, except the property tax is a little high. So luckily, then I went to Arizona because it's like 2,000 a year for taxes and about, I don't know, 1,100, 1,200 for insurance. So 3,200, whatever it is, which is a fraction, a third of the cost of Texas. So right there, I was like, and it was the reason I was looking at Texas was at that time, my potential strategy was traveling nurses. So I was looking at Texas. Texas has 22 level one trauma centers, and Florida has 9. And so I was looking at those level 1 trauma centers for the places like get a 2-1 or maybe a 1-1 or something like that near 10 minutes from a level 1 trauma center. That was my original investment goal. So I was looking into that, but then I found out that the traveling nurses thing is probably going to evaporate in say 2028, 2029 because of all the nurses that are coming on board, and it's expensive. So I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to do that. And that's where I got into the co-living thing. And that's why I ended up on Arizona. So then once I found out my market and my strategy, then I sat there and analyzed the hell out of it for a long time. And originally I was going to buy in an area called Marysville, which all the numbers worked great. And then I flew my happy ass down there. And as soon as I was there, I was like, oh no, and hey, this will be Ryan. So how would you like to buy a $350,000 house in Gary, Indiana? Probably not something you'd want to do, right? So
it depends on the terms, man.
right. Well, yeah, there you go. Like 100 terms, sure. But yeah, so it was pretty rough, man. It was super rough. And then at night, because somebody said, hey, drive the area at night, guns were going off, and I'm like, what the dude, it was crazy. People were fighting in the street and shit. I'm like, this is insane. So I got the hell out of there.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, man. And I was like, what's the deal? And people are saying, oh, yeah, the cops don't even show up here. Like when they shoot off guns and stuff, they just don't even come to that area. I'm like, okay, I'm not going there. So I added another 100 grand to my buy box, if you will. And that's when I ended up in Glendale. So yeah, I guess that's a loaded, I'd love to spend the time with you to go through it if you want, but
No, that helps though. Just knowing that, okay, it's a loaded question. Okay.
But it's good. It's like, okay,
yeah,
there's the finance piece, there's your strategy piece, your goals. So I would start with the goals and work backwards. But I'm a little different than most people. Most people will make sure you have that goal and you got to march to it and get right to. I would say set a goal, right? Knowing, at least this is how I do. My goal is $200,000 a year passive income net. And I know once I get closer to that goal, it's probably going to change. So I would say give yourself some flexibility, but set some kind of goal and then work baby steps to get there. And I do it like Intel does it, and like a lot of people do it. I do it on a quarterly basis. So I have an annual goal, and it's like we had our goal 10 months into the year. And I was like, cool. Well, I was like, wait a minute, I got 2 more months to screw off. But anyway, so I have an annual goal, like long-term goal. There's a 10-year goal. Then there's a 5-year goal, and then there's the annual goal, and then within that year I have the quarterly goals, right? And so I try to, that way I keep myself accountable, like you were saying, Ryan, with that Monday. And so I check in at least every month on the finance piece, but I check in probably 4 times, fairly often enough to know if anything's getting whacked crazy. But I just try to hit those little milestones, if you will. And you'd be surprised how fast things build up and go if you just get started and do one little thing. Like, okay, your thing this week was to attend this Zoom. Boom, you accomplished that. Cool. So now it gives you another week or 2 or however long you want to think about, okay, what you heard here, what you digested, and maybe some strategies or network with Jared or reach out to Ryan or, whatever. And you'll learn these little pieces of information that'll build on itself. And then you'll start to figure out that path. Ultimately most people have like cash flow or, quit your job or whatever. But I'd say, okay, that's a great goal, but
independence. Yeah.
you got to figure out what that is. And some people that might be figuring out their budget. You'd be surprised how many, like I know down to the penny, well, maybe not the penny, but pretty close within $100 about I've been tracking, right? So where my budget,
I got that down.
Yeah. So if you got that, you're already miles ahead, right? And the fact that you're even here, I'd say what, Ryan, you think maybe like 95% of people are just, just
Yep.
does not compute, right? Like the fact that you take your money, like I think Dion says it best. He says, find a way to make more money, increase that delta between what you earn and what your expenses are. And then that's your discretionary spending. And that discretionary spending, you need to take a portion, if not all of it, and invest it, right? And then over time, those investments, your money will work for you.
Doing my best with that too.
Yeah, you working for your money will work for you. And then I got to tell you, man, I called Dion right as I got my first rental income check. And it was something like, I think it was $1,100 or something like that, which is a good chunk of money. But it was the fact that it came in passively. I mean, not 100%, but I didn't go to a job and work that many hours to get that money. I just bought a property, did a whole bunch of work up front, and now that thing pays me every month. Now that property is about 1,500 and the other two are about $2,000 net. So I've got on average $5,000 net coming in a month that I work for up front, but I'm not, and I take a few calls and I call a handyman. Whoop-de frickin' do, you know what I mean? Like it's fairly passive, really. So to me, dude, that is awesome. And then I just made $22 off Amazon affiliates last month, and that freaked me out. I was more excited about that $22 on a different revenue stream that I didn't put I put some work into up front. And so, we have 6 revenue streams now. And before I had one, the W-2, right? So we're private money lending, right? And I took a book out of Ricky's thing and I went and fought the VA and got a VA entitlement. So I have some disability. So I have an army. Anyway, so I went and did that. My wife helped me with that. And all these different revenue streams. So now if everything goes to shit and I lose my job, it's like, oh, well, that sucks. It's not the end of the world. But sorry, I just kind of went off.
Awesome.
There.
No, hey, like at the concert, I was like, I don't. Tell your wife to leave it so long. I like that. I was like, I enjoyed it more than the concert. I enjoy it. So
see, that right there is how I know you're gonna like. There's certain people you just meet, you just kind of know. Like Ricky, I just kind of know Ricky's gonna do fine, right? Curtis is gonna kill it. He's gonna crush it, right? And all these guys, I'm pretty sure, like Josh and his wife, I think they're gonna crush it too. And I think they're going, if Shane, when you get into the community, you start talking to people, listen to stories and understand what they're doing, and just everybody as a group. Like I've met you, Ryan, and I've met a few people. I met Dion a couple times, and Millennial Mike and Zuber and all those guys, but some of them I haven't met, but I feel like I know them just because we're in these meetings. And a lot of us go to the Tuesday at 4:00 meetings with Dion, Shane. So we get the
Tuesday at 4. Okay.
Yeah, I can send you the link. You got my number too. So, but
cool.
Yeah, it's an awesome community, right? And I'm in other communities too that I've paid like a lot of money for, and I like them and all, but like Sub 2 is huge. I think there's like 20,000 people in there or something like that. And I'm in there and I post my stuff, and I've done I joined that community more to lend money to them more than to contribute there. But I do want to get a creative deal at some point, and Pace got on me pretty good last week or two ago. Like, you've been in Sub 2 for a year and a half. You haven't done it. I was like, fine. Well, because that conventional financing is stupid. Oh, and then he mentioned Dion, but he's not a fan of Dion, like at all. There was a YouTube video they did. I told Dion about it too, and I started this little high school shit. I was like, oh crap, because then Zuber reached out to me and said, hey, did Pace say anything about me? I was like, oh yeah, you thought you were great. I think he got offended by Dion's comment about the I don't want any of that ick on me. Anyway, so well, cool guys. We're running pretty long here. I guess Shane, if you want to reach out, man, I'll talk to you on the phone or whatnot. So Ryan,
sounds good.
To do. Go get your laundry done, Ryan.
Sweet. Yeah, I better get something done too.
All right, guys. I'll catch you later. This has been fun.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks for hosting, man. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Bye.